think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, right? It's cool. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Oh, man, this is cool.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, June 7th, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1040.
This is No Agenda.
Requesting a presidential pre-pardon, just in case, and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio, in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's gloomy and doom awaits, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Wow.
No sun.
Yes. You guys, we got 106 here.
Well, then I think this is fabulous.
Yeah, you shouldn't be complaining, actually.
It's still warm enough. It's in the high 60s or mid 60s.
It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. All right, how you doing?
Okay.
Yeah. How's your team doing? I lost interest after the second game.
Oh, there was a more of a
like, hey, these guys are just gonna win. Who wants to watch this? Stop.
Well, they won again, the third game, which is a game they probably shouldn't have won, but the other team was out strong, and they're ahead by 10 right away, and they're just kicking ass, and then the Warriors kind of creep back in, and then creep back, and then creep, and then the other team craps out, and the Warriors win by 10. So,
yeah, and it was boring.
And it was a lousy game because our star players weren't doing very well. There was a one-man show with Kevin Durant, scored 43 points, and they won. It's not even. It's a known fact that the Eastern teams are just not that good.
Right. Well, it was pretty much that was the news, and the president saying he could pardon himself. I think that was the only news I saw.
Yeah, the pardon himself thing, which I discussed in the newsletter, and I've discussed before, which is, to me, I think we talked about it on Horowitz's show, is just trolling. I don't believe for me it was anything more.
Oh, I don't think so either. And really the genesis of it was, let me see if I have this here. Where was it? Yes, here we go. The genesis.
By the way, I think people should appreciate the fact, I know we kind of do, that we have a president who's a troll.
Yeah. I have some appreciation for it, certainly.
He's just jacking people around.
But if you listen to the genesis of where it came from, well, actually, I have this piece from NPR.
President Trump's attorney Rudy Giuliani tells ABC's This Week that the president has the power to pardon himself.
He probably does. He has no intention of pardoning himself.
That was the entire genesis of this freakout. Was that little bit? That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Actually, he said a little more.
Yeah,
President Trump.
I'm glad you got that clip.
Well, there's a little bit more in the NPR analysis of this, which I think is cool.
Trump's attorney Rudy Giuliani tells ABC's This Week that the president has the power to pardon himself.
He probably does. He has no intention of pardoning himself.
So he can, but he won't, or will he, or would he even need to? Does that jibe with you?
This is actually one of these fascinating dorm room arguments among conservative lawyers about what the Constitution says.
That we will put on television 24 hours a day.
Doesn't say.
We'll cover it to death.
The argument basically boils down to, among most of the really smart lawyers I know, that the president can fire anybody who works for the executive branch for any reason he wants. So therefore, it can't be unconstitutional to exercise your due authority. Most of the smart lawyers I talked to about this and the conservative lawyers.
You notice how they're conflating this now with firing Comey and Mueller, which I find entertaining.
I should say. Also say that if he burnt papers or destroyed documents or evidence, that would be obstruction. So it's not that the president couldn't be guilty of obstruction. It's just that firing somebody who works for him for any reason.
Managing the staffing is somehow different.
Because the entirety of the executive branch is vested in one person. And so what he does as he runs the executive branch in terms of staffing can't be necessarily unconstitutional. I think part of the problem, the larger problem, it gets to this pardon thing. I think it's insane, the idea that the president can pardon himself. But it is ambiguous. You got to remember, when the Constitution was written, there were basically only 3 crimes at the federal levels, like piracy, treason, and one other.
What was the one other? This jabroni who wrote the article, who reported on it. He couldn't remember the third, maybe high crimes?
It's in the yes.
It's treason, high crimes, misdemeanor.
And so almost all criminal law was state-based, which the president cannot pardon. And so the idea that the founding fathers believed that the president could pardon himself for treason, I mean, maybe some thought it, maybe some didn't, but obviously the second he tried to do something like that, they'd impeach him.
Right. I like this. So now we've gone from collusion to treason.
And I think any president who pardons himself, whether it's a Republican Congress or Democratic Congress,
get a medal.
Should immediately look to whether or not they should impeach him.
If any president who pardons himself should also give himself a Congressional Medal of Honor. Why not? Now, what this resulted in is a fantastic montage. I'd like our mixers, and actually anybody can do this. I'd like you to pay attention. This is, I got it from, what is this? The Media Research Center, very right-wing group. But they did a good job on putting the constitutional crisis of this pardoning into a beautiful montage. And I'd like our own version of this, because I think we can do even better.
The constitutional crisis alarm bells are ringing. But is anybody listening?
This is leading to a constitutional crisis.
Destruction of the constitutional norms.
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Could be a constitutional crisis.
The president really wants a constitutional crisis?
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Perhaps constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. This is a shocking breach of democratic norms. This is an assault on the rule of law. This is an assault on the Constitution. This is unconscionable what Donald Trump is doing here. He is assaulting the FBI and the Department of Justice because he is meddling in the investigation of his own campaign.
And Max, you're a Republican, aren't you?
Making this a constitutional crisis.
That's an attack on our Constitution.
This is another violation of constitutional norms.
Where did you fall in the year 2018 when the President of the United States tried to dismantle the Constitution? And you're going to have to answer that.
This constitutional breach.
Constitutional chicken.
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. Trumpism's most powerful enemy, the Constitution of the United States.
And then we're into constitutional crisis territory.
We are in a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
This presidency is kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure where every ending ends in a constitutional crisis.
That was the last couple of days, right there in a nutshell.
Well, where is this crisis? I'm not seeing it.
It was.
I'm seeing reporting on the Warriors game.
An offhanded comment followed by a troll tweet turns into a constitutional crisis. Yes. But there was a lot of interesting things that I picked up, certainly listening to the MSNBCs. Chris Matthews went on Morning Joe, and he laid some smackdown on the Democrats. Did you see this by any chance?
Matthews does this every so often, and no, I did not, but I'd be glad to listen.
Is there a lesson for Democrats to learn about politics, about public presentation, about how to defeat Donald Trump that they can take from Bobby Kennedy?
Well, you know, I think, didn't Matthews write a book on Bobby Kennedy? Is that why he's the expert on all things Bobby Kennedy?
I don't know that he did.
I think he did.
Well, I read the interview.
I don't know that he did. I don't think he did. Yeah. I'm saying that because his specialty was always Reagan and the Jimmy Carter. He worked for Jimmy Carter, and then he did these Reagan and Chip O'Neill books or whatever. Not Chip O'Neill.
Chip O'Neill.
I like Chip O'Neill, but Tip O'Neill. But I like Chip better.
Hey, so by the way, what did you call the guy from Meet the Press? Todd Chuck. What was his name?
Chuck.
Listen to Rudy Giuliani.
President's attorney? Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Giuliani, welcome back to Meet the Press, sir.
Well, it's nice to be with you, Todd. How are you?
I'm okay. Let me start. It's okay. Let me start by asking.
We're not saying baseball.
Fair enough.
Right.
Fair enough. But we won't do the last names, Giuliani, right?
Whoa, passive aggressive. Nice. Okay, back to Matthews, who wrote the book on Bobby Kennedy. I was right.
We did.
Bobby Kennedy, a raging spirit.
About how to defeat Donald Trump that they can take from Bobby Kennedy.
Well, you know, I read the interview the other day. I quoted it last night. This kid, he was a 16-year-old busboy who held Bobby Kennedy's head up when he was shot. Juan Romero. Yeah. Juan Romero. And he said when Kennedy walked into his room, when he was delivering room service, that Kennedy didn't look through him, but he looked at him. And he said, you know, I felt I was 10 feet tall. And you and I knew Tip O'Neill and people like that. They're real liberals.
Here's your Chip.
And they're phonies. They're pie in the sky until they're always looking in the middle of the distance. They think they're better than everybody. They went to Yale Law, whatever, and whatever they got, they claim they're better than anybody. A true Democrat, lowercase d, thinks they're no better than anybody else.
What is that? What I've never heard that expression, lowercase d.
Oh yeah.
What does that mean? What does that?
Well, that means you're a Democrat. You're a Democrat with a capital D. That means you're in the party. Or
okay.
And the lowercase D means you're more of the nature of it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, they went to Yale Law, whatever, and whatever they got, they claim they're better than anybody. A true Democrat, lowercase d, thinks they're no better than anybody else. That's what a Democrat is. And when the party regains that with white, black, Hispanic people, everybody starts to think of themselves as one of them instead of being better than them, they'll get back to the party of the people. And they're not there yet. There's too many elitisms. There's so much elitism in the Democratic Party. It's so outrageous. And it all comes to the notion of the meritocracy being entirely academic based. You don't want to hear about a master plumber being an elite. He is, or she is, but it's all academic. And it's a game they've been playing with themselves, and it's self-saluting. And I'm telling you, the people feel it. There's a party going on, and they ain't invited to it. And that's a big part of this. It's not just economics. I don't buy the whole Marxist argument. It's all about economics. It's not all about economics. It's about sensing that your leaders give a damn about you personally. And when that going on, I see some people like that out in the Democratic Party today. And but they got to keep a low profile. You got to stay down. There's too much self-saluting, too many events that seem to be about saluting them, too many galas.
Yes.
People are tired of it. I'm sick of them. And by the way, I'm rooting against them. I am, even though I may agree with them.
He says, what?
He said gala. Isn't it gala?
I think, well, I prefer to say gala, but I often hear gala, which I don't think is good.
Gala
either.
sounds like some woman.
Yes.
Is gala coming?
Too many galas. People are tired of it. I'm sick of them. And by the way, I'm rooting against them. I am, even though I may agree with their policies. I think there's a party attitude of elitism, and I think they got to get over it. And it's too much talking to fundraisers, because the people they talk to on these kind of shows are really the people they want their money from, and they're the elite.
Yes.
And I mean, Hillary finally had a Bruce Springsteen concert the last night. How about it? A little late in the game. I mean, identify with the people that the blue-collar regular people identify with, not the elite entertainers. Just my speech. Mm-hmm. There are other ones, but that's one. I think that's something that Bobby would understand, and Joe Biden would understand, and a few other people would understand today. And I think that's a real problem.
You know, and during the vacation, the keeper was reading that new book, Chasing Hillary, by the New York Times journalist who wrote of her adventure. And I don't need to read the book because she likes reading to me, and I like it when she reads to me. So she gives me all the important.
Are you in a small cradle?
Yes, with a little mobile above my head.
And it's sucking on a binky.
Yes.
Hey, go on. I'm sorry.
On
go on.
By
the way, I want to go on. Finish.
You want to mention what?
I met Bobby Kennedy.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. And the whole book is really, this journalist said that Hillary was completely elitist, did not want to deal with the press corps, thought she had it all sewed up with her buddies, the big press interviews. It was all Brooklyn. Brooklyn was completely off limits, and they were really, the way the journalist describes it, and she was all for Hillary, was incredibly elitist, incredibly out of touch with reality. But at least she had John Bon Jovi playing his guitar on the plane next to her. That must have been nice. So, Bobby Kennedy, not elitist, according to Chris Matthews. You met the man.
Well, I got to meet him in Hayward, which is kind of a working class town, and during his campaign. Mm-hmm. And he seemed elitist to me. He didn't look at you. He looked through you.
Well, maybe just through you.
Stiff as he came around.
Were you bringing him room service? Maybe that was the problem.
It was like, I didn't notice that he was like, friendly even. I mean, I had met Gene McCarthy, who was the go-to guy for that era, for the anti-Vietnam War era. And Kennedy kind of stepped in there and bumped him out of the way. And resulting in
resulting in his death.
That's another thing. There's a lot of conspiracy things floating around about Kennedy's death now. In fact, including, here's Kennedy's oldest daughter, Kathleen.
Yes, she's out there. She's saying she thinks it happened a different way.
Well, I have a clip.
Oh,
This is her at the end of this is the Bobby Kennedy Sirhan Kathleen clip. This is the end of her interview with Judy on PBS.
The very last thing I want to ask you both about very quickly, and that is, here we are 50 years later, and Kathleen, you have made a statement recently that you...
that was kind of rude. The very last thing I want to ask you about, kind of quickly, like it's just an offhanded thing. Oh,
this is the what's weird about it is this is a commercial-free. You think that they could be a little more open-ended, like we are.
Yes.
Instead of going to a hard break and all the stuff that commercial television does.
Right.
I just found, I agree with you. I think it's ridiculous.
The very last thing I want to ask you both about very quickly, and that is, here we are 50 years later, and Kathleen, you have made a statement recently that you think that there's reason to believe Sirhan didn't act alone. We only have a few seconds, but you're saying this is something that needs to be looked at.
I've talked to my brother Bobby, who's looked into this a great deal, and I think he makes a very powerful argument that it should be looked at again.
And Dawn Porter, it comes up in your film.
We dedicated the last episode. I think what is clear is that Sirhan had a trial that is not a trial that anyone would have wanted for their loved ones. And so I'll leave it to others to continue to investigate that question. But it's important for us to feel like the criminal justice system is fair. And there's a good reason to feel like perhaps this wasn't so fair.
Not fair. Interesting.
It is railroaded.
Instead of just wrong, it's not fair. Yeah, that's a step further than wrong. Interesting.
Yeah, when somebody gets railroaded like that and they put under, you can't talk to them and all. I mean, I don't know if you can anymore. But 50 years down the road, we're now discussing this.
Yeah. Well,
there was some mention that some of this may have been Kennedy was the one who put the supposedly when he was the head of the Justice Department put a tail and had the FBI do spy on Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is true.
Appears to be.
Yeah.
And this may, some people think maybe this assassination was a payback for their King assassination, which is a far out idea.
But what was Bobby Kennedy on track to do? I mean, besides win. Maybe that was just the problem. Not another one of those jagoffs.
Well, there's an element of that. It's almost like it's almost like with Trump, there was a suspicion that the Kennedys were all mobbed up, and they really they didn't.
Just looking at the family, yeah, I can see where that would come from.
Yeah, so they're mobbed up, and they really shouldn't be in this position. Because they bring in a bad element, and so that happened.
They were lowercase.
Then you'd have to take it to the extreme and say that the Ted Kennedy, Mary Jo Kopechne thing was also staged, and
really.
It's always, anything's possible if you really.
Well, I still have my questions about Junior and his plane crash.
Yeah, and there's that element because he was making
apparently
headwinds.
Pretty much cleared the way for Hillary.
The only other guy that had a chance for anything was Robert Kennedy Jr., who picked up that crazy, weird disease where he can barely talk.
Yeah, that's a shame because it comes across. It's very uncomfortable to watch him. It's hard to follow.
Hey, I've got a great idea, Bill.
Let's mess up his vocal cords.
Jeez. So they've been sidelined. It's too many incidents, too many coincidences, too much.
Yeah.
So, but
Bill Clinton, has he now started working for Trump?
Well, Clinton's only, I don't know that he has. I'm sure he hasn't, but what am I thinking? But he is really on this Korean thing seems to be, and it has a lot to do, I think, during his era when he was president. I think he wanted to do the peace deal with Korea because he had Madeleine Albright go over there.
Well, first of all, why is he doing interviews he has a book. I guess that would be the reason. He has a book. He has a book. He's doing interviews with the co-author of the book,
James Patterson,
the guy who wrote it, I would presume.
Who's a kiss ass if I've ever seen one. And it's funny, I don't have the clip here.
I do.
But he about a week before he came on the Colbert Show. Stephen King was on Colbert, and he was kind of condemning Patterson.
Oh,
in some funny way, and gave Colbert questions to give him, which he never did.
Oh, well, I have a trifecta. The first is really NBC just sticking it to Bill on the Today Show, which was an edited interview. It could have easily edited it out, or maybe they edited it to make it better. But it seemed to me like this was retaliatory, maybe for when Matt Lauer asked the verboten email question, or I don't know what it is, but it just seemed like totally out of character for NBC, and here's what took place.
Looking back on what happened then, through the lens of Me Too now, do you think differently or feel more responsibility?
No, I felt terrible then, and I came to grips with it.
Did you ever apologize to him?
No, yes, and nobody believes that I got out of that for free. I left the White House $16 million in debt.
Is that where they took the dinnerware? Wasn't that a story?
No idea, but somehow him and Hillary were dead broke.
Yeah, well, okay.
But no, I didn't know he was $16 million in debt.
You typically have ignored gaping facts in describing this, and I bet you don't even know them. This was litigated 20 years ago. 2/3 of the American people sided with me.
Now, that's a statistic that I was unaware of. Do you know where this comes from? The 2/3 of the American people sided with me 20 years ago?
I think it was a poll, and I think you might be right.
But what people saying what? Like you didn't?
It's they were pushing the promotion, he lied, but people didn't die. They lied, but nobody died.
Okay.
And there was this promotion of, you're wasting. This is the moment when Move On was formed. Move On was an organization designed to tell you, let's move on from this. We don't want to be dealing with this Clinton impeachment.
Really? That is the genesis of the Move On organization?
The genesis of MoveOn.org was the Clinton impeachment.
Things you never knew.
And I bet you don't even know them. This was litigated 20 years ago. 2/3 of the American people sided with me.
Yeah, your No Agenda show knows.
They were not insensitive to that. I had a sexual harassment policy when I was governor in the 80s. I had 2 women.
Let me, Bill, a little bit of advice. When you're on the hot seat, as we say in Holland, als je geschoren wordt, moet je stil blijven zitten. When you're being shorn, sit very still and don't go into, I had a sexual harassment policy in the 80s. What an idiot.
Staff when I was governor. Women were overrepresented in the Attorney General's office in the 70s for their percentage in the bar. I've had nothing but women leaders in my office since I left. You are giving one side.
It almost sounds like he's saying, I had inventory, my friends. I had inventory.
And omitting facts.
Mr. President, I'm not trying to present a side.
You asked me if I agreed. The answer is no, I don't.
And I asked if you'd ever apologized, and you said you had.
I have.
You've apologized to her.
I apologize to everybody in the world.
But you didn't apologize to her.
I have not talked to her.
Do you feel like you owe her an apology?
No, I do.
This is my favorite. This is where it's sad, kind of, because the old Bill Clinton would have been so much faster in coming. I mean, he just messed it up.
Hey, hold on a second. I do want to warn you. I do have the Colbert retort to this, because Clinton went on Colbert.
I have that too, but we'll play yours.
Because it seems to me that there's a couple of things involved here. One, the Colbert show, showing up on Colbert, looked like an emergency booking.
Well, hold on.
There was no promotion last week. The second thing is the Today Show is done at, you have to get up at like 5 a.m. to do this show.
Yeah, but it was pre-taped.
He's an old guy.
It was pre-taped.
No.
Whoa. It was pre-taped. This was not done at 5 a.m. This was a pre-taped interview.
Okay, you got me on that one. But
let me just finish the 30 seconds, then I want to hear your Colbert clip.
You've apologized to her.
I apologize to everybody in the world.
But you didn't apologize to her.
I have not talked to her.
Do you feel like you owe her an apology?
No, I do. I do not. I've never talked to her. But I did say publicly on more than one occasion that I was sorry. That's very different. The apology was public. I don't think you think President Kennedy should have resigned? Do you believe President Johnson should have resigned?
This is whataboutism, Bill.
Someone should ask you these questions because of the way you formulate the questions. I dealt with it 20 years ago plus, and the American people, 2/3 of them stayed with me, and I've tried to do a good job since then with my life and with my work. That's all I have to say to you.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's
this was a huge screw up.
Yeah, epic fail.
Epic fail, and he got blasted by the New York Times and all kinds of people for being
a douchebag, capital D.
Capital D. Well, he's also a small D douchebag, which is
all right. So set your Colbert clip up.
Well, do you have a Colbert clip?
Yeah, but I have a much shorter one. But
I have the gist of it. So it's a long clip, so you're going to have to interrupt.
No, I like it.
This one, but I do want to ask you something, which is when I got home last night, on the CNN, they had a lower third banner that said something about William Clinton's tone-deaf response to the...
By the way, I don't appreciate Colbert stealing the CNN. That's our beat, man. That's how we talk about him.
Question from the Today Show. My question is, would you like a do-over on that answer?
Well, what is the reason for this? So emergency booking, yes.
Yeah.
This is
damage
so
control.
So blatant. Would you like a do-over? Holy crap.
Well, I have to say this. Colbert, this is damage control. And I think it's very well done. He brought Patterson out with him, so he has backup. So every once in a while, Patterson, who really had nothing to contribute, but except to jump in, and you'll hear it once in a while, to jump in and say what a great guy Clinton is. and Colbert is pretty harsh, and I think he does a pretty good job of not sounding like a kiss ass. And he gives Clinton all that, but he does give Clinton all the opportunities he needs to apologize for the Today Show interview.
Do you understand why some people thought that was a tone-deaf response to his questions about the Me Too movement and how you might reflect on your behavior 20 years ago and how that reflection may change based on what you've learned through the Me Too movement?
Yeah. I've also noticed the constant use of the term tone-deaf, which is really a real soft way of saying you're being a dick. But the media use that term consistently. Tone deaf.
Tone deaf. Yeah, that came. I think that was from the New York Times article. I could be wrong. But he has this thing about 20 years.
Shouldn't they just say you don't seem to be woke, Bill?
This old behavior. I'm wondering why they don't say, how come they don't associate or give Trump the same benefit of the doubt after.
A do-over.
Do-over.
Every day.
When I saw the interview, I thought that because they had to, distill it.
That's his way of saying they edited it.
And it looked like I was saying I didn't apologize and I had no intention to, and I was mad at me.
Okay, hold on a second. Of course, that's wrong what he just said, because he did say he apologized and he made a point of it.
Yes.
You saw the Today Show thing. Did it look heavily edited?
It was definitely edited. Not easy to tell how it was edited. But yeah, of course.
No, there's no reason in the world that NBC would do a hit piece on Bill.
But they did, John. That's what I'm saying. It was pre-taped, edited.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying, what's the reason for that? NBC is a huge, the number one, in my opinion, of the three networks, the biggest Trump hater.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Well, I think Bill did something else, and I have a different clip, which we'll play in a moment. I think that's where he really screwed up, and I think that's what the retaliation may be about.
Well, you said in the interview that you did apologize. You said you apologized in the interview.
I did, and they showed a film clip finally. But here's what I want to say. It wasn't my finest hour, but the important thing is...
Stop again. What is the deal? I mean, you hear about people with that use a lot of heroin have this problem. But he has the driest mouth.
All you hear is this.
It's like...
It's disgusting.
Yeah, he's like, take a drink of water, do something. I mean, it's just... Like his mouth is glued shut, and he's trying to pop it open. He's got mucilage in the mouth.
He's got those white stringy things when he opens his mouth.
It's gross.
Ugh.
That was a very painful thing that happened 20 years ago, and I apologize.
Maybe he's just cottonmouth and he's high as a kite.
To my family, to Monica Lewinsky and her family, to the American people. I meant it then, I meant it now. I've had to live with the consequences every day since. And I still believe this Me Too movement is long overdue, necessary, and should be supported. And we should all...
Woo!
Oh, by the way, but stop. That applause, if you listen to the whole thing and the way it was done, either that one or another one, but
was edited in.
Anyway, it just seems as if there was just the slightest amount of lag in the applause.
Yeah.
And it didn't go from like somebody, you can hear somebody starting.
No, it went to full blast, yeah.
You've heard this where people start clapping, and then all of a sudden a big clap, applause. This was a massive attack off 2 beats. I believe they turned the applause sign on.
I think you're right. Let's listen again. Hold on, let me go back. Here it is. I can see it on the waveform. Here we go.
And should be supported. And we should all...
Nah, I heard a couple claps coming at the start there, John. I did.
Well, maybe.
Well, they're happy. That's for sure.
And
that might not
I'd like to
be the
think
right
that
one.
we're all getting better.
What? What'd you say?
There was a point where it just seems to me that they turned the sign on.
Better as we go along.
Here's the other thing. I've spent a year now with President Clinton, and I went in liking him. But in that year, I found he's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being, and he spent his whole life.
This is Patterson. Wonderful, wonderful. What kind of a writer would say that?
Wonderful, wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful life.
Now, the thing is that how does this jive with another guy who likes him, but also thinks he's a psychopath, which is George Stephanopoulos, who once said that he's a horrible sociopath and he just out for everything has to be about him.
Yeah.
So how does that match with what Patterson just said?
I don't know. He's a wonderful guy. He's going to make me rich with this book.
No, he didn't say that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
He said he's a wonderful, wonderful guy.
3 wonderfuls.
Yes.
All right.
Here's the other thing. I've spent a year now with President Clinton, and I went in liking him. But in that year, I found he's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being.
Right, 3.
And he spent his whole life trying to do good things for this country. And since he's been out of the presidency with the foundation, he's done incredible things for all around the world.
Well, I would agree. I would agree with you.
Yes, we all agree.
Woo! If I could, I would think some of the reason why people saw that interview and thought that it was tone deaf or whatever word they wanted to use is that you seem surprised that question would come up. That there's somehow that this had all been adjudicated in the past and there's no reason to talk about it again, when it seems like the spirit of the Me Too movement is that it doesn't matter how long ago it happened. Examples of men who were not held accountable for their behavior, especially men in power with younger women or people who worked for them, is worthy of being re-adjudicating or adjudicating for the first time, no matter how long ago it happened. And so it seemed tone deaf to me because you seemed offended to be asked about this thing when, in all due respect, sir, your behavior was the most famous example of a powerful man sexually misbehaving in the workplace of my lifetime. And so it doesn't seem surprising that the question would be asked. Why are you surprised?
No, the question had been asked.
By him?
No, by other people in this context.
The Me Too context?
Yes, and I didn't mind at all. But I didn't like this one because it started with an assertion that basically I had never apologized, as if I had never tried to come to grips with it, and as if there had been no attempt to hold me accountable, which anybody who lived through that and knew the facts knew wasn't so. Nonetheless, I realized, hey, there are a lot of people that don't have any memory of that, and all they saw was me mad, and I seemed to be tone deaf, to put it mildly. So last night when I was at my event, we did an event in Harlem with Walter Mosley. I asked to say something about it because I think it's important. People need to know. I apologize. I meant it then. I mean it now. I've lived with the consequences, and I still support Me Too. And I think we all need to keep trying to be doing better. And I would never dispute that.
So here's what possibly may have happened. Clinton did an interview on CBS, which would make sense that the do-over came on CBS. And in this, he said something which I believe is a big no-no with the Democrats, capital D.
Do you think that the press has been fair to President Trump?
I think they have tried, by and large, to cover this investigation based on the facts. I think if the roles were reversed, now this is me just talking about it based on my experience. If there were a Democratic president and these facts were present, most people I know in Washington believe impeachment hearings would have begun already.
If there were a Democrat in power
yes.
right now.
And most people I know believe that the press would have been that hard or harder. But these are serious issues.
You hear from Trump supporters who say, the press slobbered all over President Obama. He could do no wrong. And now this guy can do no right. What gives? That there's a kind of whiplash.
Well, they did treat him differently than other Democrats and Republicans because it was the political press. I don't know. They liked him. And they liked having the first African-American president. And he was a good president, I think. I don't agree with President Trump's assessment of his service.
I think that was the big problem. I think that was the real root of the issue here. Why he got nailed by NBC.
Well, it seems to me that it wouldn't be a problem, except that it's possible that the hypersensitivity of the media, knowing that they're screwing up, brought this out. It's like, look, we have to. And then it made it worse when Clinton went on about how, Korea, the thing he's doing with Korea, we should support. And I don't know. Yeah, maybe this is as good a theory as any, because I found the whole thing to be weird.
Yeah. And I'm sure Hillary wasn't happy with that at all. And maybe just the Democrats, capital D, who just want nothing to do with the Clintons anymore. Just done with them.
That's a possibility, because that goes back to one of our old theses, which is that Hillary's still hanging around. She still has her machine. They can crank it up again, and the next thing you know, in 2020, it's going to be Hillary running for a third time. She'll be the Harold Stassen of our generation. Yeah. The reference a few people will get.
Give us an explanation. I didn't get it.
He's a guy who used to run for president. My dad used to talk about him, but he was a guy who kept running and running. And like Hillary, and never winning anything. You can't win. But Hillary would be this would be a third go round, and it would be a disaster for the party. They think.
Disastrous, yeah.
And so,
they're all fighting. They're all jockeying.
Maybe this is just let's knock them both out of the picture.
Yeah, they're all jockeying for position now. What is the party going to be? Except for the anti-Trump party, they got that down, but now they have to maybe, we need some leaders. We need someone who looks like they can do the job. Where's Clooney?
We have a Clooney clone, Gavin Newsom, good-looking guy, wears his shirts, he doesn't wear T-shirts, he wears his shirt open. Hey, look at that, I'm a tough guy. And he's running already. He's decided to, instead of running on issues or anything else, because there's no issues you can run on as a Democrat in California. We have the highest taxes. We have some of the worst education results in the country. Everything is bad. The roads are falling apart. It's just one thing after another. So he's running on as a Democrat, he's running on an anti-Trump platform.
So, couple things. One,
and it's like, okay, good luck with that. It didn't work for Hillary.
So the number 2 guy in their jungle election is John Fox, I think his name is Cox. John Cox. He's a Republican. So maybe that was unexpected.
Well, there's a couple of thoughts here, if you want to talk about it for a second.
Sure.
It was kind of hoped for by Newsom, because he didn't want to run against the Democrat because they could, they know each other's dirty laundry. And he felt that because the state is 2/3 Democrats and very few, I think, is a quarter Republicans and most independents. Although they do vote Republicans in as governor every so often, and this guy could be offensive enough that this could happen to him, although I don't think it will. He felt that he had a better shot at beating a Republican because there's a clear difference, and he can run against Trump.
Right. Okay.
Because Trump is supporting Cox.
I'm going to change my position. consistently told you that you need to get out of California, I want you to stay. I want you to stay on the Titanic until that fucker is down, the iceberg is floating overhead, and you need to report on it.
Yeah, well, it won't go down because of the weather.
Yeah, what? The mud flats still dry, I guess. Good.
The mud flats are still there. I mean, come on, people. Looking out there now, there they are.
There was quite a bit of interesting news about the news, if you will. Apple is going to help you. I mean, Apple, I don't know if you saw the Worldwide Developer Conference keynote, which
I missed it. I wanted to watch it.
Here's how every demo went. And we got this thing over here. That's pretty cool, right? Which was the applause line cue. Every single person who presented something at some point would go, I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, right? It's cool. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Oh, man, this is cool. And it wasn't cool. It was like, man.
Yes, it helps if it actually is cool.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Now I can ask Siri if I'm on time for my plane. But they're going to help you with the news.
Thanks, Craig, and it is so great to be here. Woo! I'm excited to tell you about some great updates in some of our most popular apps, starting with one of my favorites, News.
Woo!
So, News is a personalized feed where you can see all the stories you want to read pulled together from trusted sources. And our top stories are handpicked by the Apple News editorial team to make a great collection of curated content.
She's stuttering over the fact that to propagandize you, I mean, to make sure there's no Trump team to make a great collection. Of curated content. Yes,
it's a great collection.
With our new Browse tab.
Ooh.
You can
might as well listen to the whole presentation.
Discover new channels and topics. We've made it even easier to jump to your favorites, because that's why they're your favorites.
Yeah,
right?
Favorites.
News shines on the iPad. We've added a new sidebar, and it's a great way to navigate. It makes it easy and I think fun to dig into the areas you're most interested in.
Dig in, people.
So that's news.
And that's news. But not quite as good as what the face bag is doing. Oh, no. Those guys are way ahead of the curve.
Welcome to Full Circle, CNN's live night.
CNN's Anderson Cooper, Shepard Smith of Fox News, and Univision's Jorge Ramos, all coming to Facebook this summer as the social media giant tries to improve the quality of news on its platform. Reuters correspondent David Ingram.
Anderson Cooper is going to do this from his regular CNN studio, and it's going to be in addition to all of his other CNN duties. Apparently, all these anchors still have time in their day to do yet another show. These are all going to be Facebook shows. The terms were not disclosed, but these are big-name anchors and big-name news organizations that would not be doing deals with Facebook if Facebook were not paying them something that they thought was a fair rate.
The shows are for Facebook's video service Watch, and other programs, including one by ABC News, will also be produced for Facebook. The tech giant says the shows will experiment with social media features such as polls.
News has been a really tricky area for Facebook because of the proliferation of fake news and hoaxes. This is a chance for Facebook to put more high-quality news into Facebook. It's also a chance for Facebook to maybe get a bigger share of the ad revenue pie.
Facebook has had a rocky relationship with news organizations as it piles up advertising profits while paying little for content. But news executives expressed satisfaction with the latest arrangement. Facebook also made sure it had a wide range of views represented. Expect the first shows to hit your Facebook feed by the end of the summer.
I mean, well, a couple things. One, it's too bad we're alt-right. Too bad we're so alternative, because people are making bank today with Netflix and now Facebag. You're half a celebrity and you can make a lot of money. Too bad I'm just a washed-up VJ.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Podcaster.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. But two...
Yeah, well, at least you don't have to go into the office and you don't have somebody saying, we like what you get. You got to come there. We need to talk.
Yeah, we need to sit down for a second.
You've been doing a pretty good job here, but we think we're going to go in a different direction.
Yes, we're thinking more black female lesbian.
Yeah.
So they've got Anderson Pooper, Shep from the Fox Newses, and then what's his name from Univision? Jorge.
That Jorge. So we have nothing but left-wingers.
Yeah. And they're going to be doing...
But they use Shep. Shep is like a straw man.
Well,
he works for Fox. He must be as conservative.
I don't even see him as conservative. I don't know. But yeah, I guess everything's represented. Left, right, and Spanish. Yeah, that's perfect. So, but to have three... First, for CNN, Fox, and Telemundo to allow... Univision to allow that. To allow their anchors go to the enemy. I mean, of course, they gave them their best guys, obviously. But it's like, what are you doing? You can't beat him? You're going to join him? I'm not so sure why they're doing this.
Well, now that you mention it in those terms, it's idiotic.
Yeah.
These guys are the competition.
Unless
it's like, hey, Washington Post over here, can we use your two top guys over at the New York Times as columnists?
How about this? How about
a balanced report?
No, how about this? How about ad sales? Because it was mentioned specifically in the report about advertising. What if ad sales doesn't go through Facebook? What if the ad sales has to go through CNN, through Fox, or Univision? Maybe that's the deal they cut. No?
There's no way.
Well, I find it strange.
The type of sales that you do on broadcasting is so different than the type of sales you do on online stuff. It's not. Well, they would never buy it.
They're going to teach
these guys are boneheads.
They're going to teach him then. That's for sure.
Not going to teach him nothing.
Teaching him nothing, I tell you.
I think your initial assertion was right. That stupidity
it's just
that we're
imbeciles,
witnessing.
Imbeciles, yeah. Did you see this?
Is that it from the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference? You got any more stupid reports from this?
I mean, it could just play the whole thing.
I was highly entertained by that woman.
Well, they did have the digital health, and now, I mean, who is going to take advice on cutting back on drugs from your drug dealer? I just don't understand why people don't see the obvious here. Oh, yes, Apple will give you a screen time. It's going to tell you, you've been on Instagram for 3 hours today. Every example you see of this is between 3 and 5 hours that people are on Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about your time sink.
By the way. This is the average.
Time sink. Yeah. Well, I got some OTG stuff later. Oh, shoot. No, I don't. I don't have anything except that, I mean, I do. So this notion of your phone listening to you, and the only reason I'm tying it to Apple is because I went into the Apple, the Xcode, their SDK, their software development kit, specifically for iOS. And it turns out that I'm pretty sure that phones are, the people say, I was talking about this, and then all of a sudden the next day I got an ad for the same thing. I was over here, and then I got an ad for something we were talking about. And everyone's saying, no, we don't listen. But that's not true. I looked at the Apple in iOS has ways for you to tap into keyword recognition. So, in essence, it's a trick to think that your phone is not listening to you until you say, hey, Siri, because it is listening the whole time. It's just picking up that wake word. But in the actual SDK, you can access this yourself, and you can say, okay, you're listening all the time, and then when this particular word comes through, this trigger, and there could be thousands of triggers from thousands of apps as far as I'm concerned, then it will pick it up, and then you can trigger a script and do something else, which is kind of, to me, explains why you talk about it and the next day it shows up on your feed, because it's triggered, it has to be registered. Okay, here's a guy who said Levi's, we need to show him some jeans, it makes sense, and put it in tomorrow's run, boys. Now, in order to use this, your app does need to request permission. What's a little unclear to me is how that permission is asked. If it says, in some cases it says Siri wants to use wants to access your microphone.
Ask when you install the product.
I'm not so sure with iOS if it doesn't ask you later on again. I think it may have changed.
I don't think it has to. When you install these products, I wrote a whole column about this.
On Android,
Google abusing it.
Yeah,
Google takes everything that, your firstborn practically, so you can use Google Navigator. And once you agree to that, then they can use it for anything they want. They can do all this stuff on top of that in other apps.
Here's the thing. I'm pretty sure that Google, they, when you, as you say, when you install the product is when you give away those permissions. I think iOS does it differently. I'd like to know if anyone who has had this happen to them, if they have an iPhone or an Android phone. I'm pretty sure it's Android. So what we're learning now is that third-party apps can access so much on your phone, and there is just this continuous stream. Once it's been put on, there's a continuous stream, just recording, just hearing what you're saying, and there's a speed. And I know how this works now because I've been doing this for the past couple of weeks with the Mycroft open source talking tube. So now I'm understanding how this works, and you could just put in any trigger word. You could anything you want for this user. If you hear that, let us know, and you'll send it back to home base. And it's the third-party apps. It's not now. Facebag says they're not doing it. I think it's touch and go. Is if you say we're not eavesdropping on you, but your phone, which has always been my problem, your phone has so much information about your location. And now, if you look at the development side, anyone can make an app that can do this and can then trigger any kind of event like an ad buy based upon what it heard. It's really disturbing. Which is why I'm OTG, baby.
Well, I don't even turn the phone on, so I don't care. But if you this reminds me, for some reason, I was thinking about this crazy moment in time when Google is still in its formative years, and they were experimenting with advertising and using you put a search term in, and they used to have the ads on the side on a little sidebar. And you'd type in corpses, and then all these guys had bought any word pretty much and say, on eBay, you can get a deal on corpses. And you'd have all these humorous little things on the side because eBay apparently was selling everything. Need to know more about necrophilia? Go to eBay.
By the way, you can go back to when I was in Los Angeles. So what was that, 2009, 2010? When I was living in LA? Around that time.
Sure.
And I was on Twit, This Week in Tech, and you can go see where I said, very explicitly, I said, with the introduction of Google Voice, which opens up your browser and allows access to the microphone to Google, I said, you watch, I predict there will be ads based upon what you say in the future. And I was laughed at.
And kicked off the show.
Eventually kicked off the show. Yes. Well, something funny happened. So in my final, when we're talking OTG off the grid, I'm anti-tracking. I'm pro-sanity. That's what this is about. I just don't want pro-sanity. I don't want to be I don't want a phone in my life that is doing all this stuff. But, and I'm also anti-tracking, but, within reason. So the only thing, two things happened. One, I'm on T-Mobile. T-Mobile came out. This is very good. I'm happy with them. They came out with something called Digits. And Digits is either an app or you can get it through the web browser. You can send, receive calls and text messages from any device. Thank you very much, T-Mobile. So now I could finally shut off Apple's iMessage, which is another trap that you get sucked into. It's like if you're texting back and forth with someone who has an iPhone, you're not going through the SMS system after a while or almost immediately, but it looks like it because it's in the same app. But then when you leave, then people will just be sending stuff and it's going nowhere, and they don't know if you received it, and you, of course, don't receive it because you don't have the iMessage anymore. It's one great travesty, the huge injustice Apple did to their users. So now I don't have to have iMessage anymore. I can just turn the whole thing off, and no matter what if you text me with iMessage, I'm gonna come back with a green bubble, and you'll know I'm a poor schlub who doesn't have an iPhone. And yeah, poverty. Don't even talk to him.
He's a dud.
But I still have.
He's not part of the hive.
No, I'm not. The hive. But I still have a WhatsApp issue. My sisters have a group for WhatsApp. I got my daughter off. Tina's off. And, so all of that's all good. It's just a couple of people And like, it would be nice to have, I don't want the app, I don't want to converse through it, but with my newfound skills through automate the boring stuff with Python, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can find a library that I can build an autoresponder that not only says, hey, I'm not on WhatsApp, but it would forward me the message someone sent me to my SMS text system, which is just my regular Nokia E71. Sounds reasonable,
I think
right?
You should go one step further.
Okay.
You should include what you just said, but on top of that, sending the message, the message that you're not there, you should attach a long lecture on why they shouldn't be there either.
I think that's a fine idea.
Yeah. So every time they send you something, they're confronted with an essay on why they're idiots for being on this product, and they should get off as fast as they can.
Well, sadly,
you'll be doing them a favor.
I wish I could do that. I think it's great advice. Sadly, it's not going to happen, because here's what happened next. So I take my newfound Python skills. I get the Yowzup library and import that into my script. And lo and behold, boom, I'm on a command line. I'm talking to WhatsApp. I actually sent a message to Agent Orange. He sent one back. He says, wow, this is really crazy. Like, you don't even show up that you're online, and there's no red status. And because I'm directly into the API. I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm like, I'll just let that sit, and I go to get some groceries. I come back, and it's disconnected. I'm like, oh, what's going on? So I said, well, let me go check and see how it is on my phone. And it says here, the message is still the same. Your phone number, and it has my number, is banned from using WhatsApp. Please contact customer support for assistance. Which I did. And of course, I didn't hear back from them. But apparently, you're not supposed to just command line to the API. And now I've been banned, which did solve my WhatsApp problem in a strange way. Because it's just not.
Yeah, but there goes the lecture.
Yeah, sad. You're not allowed to do that. It was not an unapproved device, which of course was, it wasn't a device at all.
Yeah, unapproved device was just a command line.
Yeah. So I got banned, and I think it's for life. Because they're not.
You got K-lined.
I get what?
You're done.
Yeah, I'm toast.
You're kicked off.
Toast. Yeah, I got totally kicked off.
Yeah, well, they don't want guys like you. So you're going against the will of the wishes of the elites.
And then yesterday,
troublemaker.
Elise and I, Tina's daughter, we went to Whole Foods to get some stuff for dinner. And you come in immediately. There's a guy. Hey, how you doing? I was like, whoa, easy, man, easy.
Walmart greeter.
Are you an Amazon Prime member? You're a Prime member? I said, yeah, I'm a Prime member. Whoa, you got to get the app, and then there's all kinds of deals. You can scan the QR code. It says 10% off. You get 30% off. You might get 50% off. You've got to get the app down. I'm like, no. I like what you're saying, man, but Amazon already knows what I read, what I watch, what I buy. I don't want them to know what I eat. So we move on. Then at the cash register, same thing. Hi, are you an Amazon Prime member? So they assault you, and I just go through my whole spiel again. I'm going to get banned from that place.
The
there's
thing
that
is,
creepy guy again.
I looked into, Amazon. I'm an Amazon Prime member, and I'm not like you about this, because I don't shop at Whole Foods except to get some emergency milk, and because their vegetable prices are too high.
The whole thing is crazy expensive. Yes.
Well, it's not as bad as it used to be. So I get some grapefruit juice and milk, maybe some. That's about it, and some bottled water. So I don't care if they know that or not. But the thing is, it's like you got to run this app. You can put this on your phone, and you show it to the guy, and you get your discount or whatever you get.
Yes.
But they won't. It doesn't run on anything pre-Android 5.0.
So this is exactly what was so funny. So I'm talking to the cashier, and I say, "Hold on," and I pull out my Nokia E71. Do you have an app for this? She goes, Lordy, I haven't seen one of those for 10 years. She's totally bowled over. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, unless they start sending out cards.
Yeah,
that they can scan.
Now you're talking.
None of these phone apps work on it. It won't work on my Nexus 7, which I can't really upgrade to 5 because there's not enough memory. And it won't upgrade on my old Nexus Galaxy because it's got Android 4.4.4, and it won't go. It just says, they've abandoned it because and apparently they can't write the code for these old devices, which it should work fine.
It's not can't.
And it's not as though they can't write the app to work on the old phones, but they won't do it.
No, they won't. Of course not.
That's because they wanted you to buy a new phone. Screw them.
Not just that. They want to have all the extra data that your phone delivers along with your purchase.
Yeah, well, they're not getting that. That's for sure. But I want a card.
I know you want a
Where's
card.
Where's our card? I'm going to ask them for a card. Where's the card? I don't have a. Okay, I don't use these phones, but I'm a Prime member.
I do have a good tip for all Prime members. Amazon, they have an offer for the Nokia E71, $36, and it's brand new. And it'll say out of stock because if for some reason you order it and then out of stock, and then the next day, ka-ching, hi, this is China calling. It's coming out of the printer right now. It's on its way. This is a great deal. $36 for a really good phone. I ordered 4.
Those things.
I'm like Dvorak
I'm going to
now.
take it to my grave.
I'm like you now.
You down with OTG? You down with OTG? You down with OTG? Adam's OTG. You down with OTG?
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C. And the C stands for Can't Load the App, Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, all ships and sea boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the troll room. Hey, trolls. NoAgendaStream.com is where you can check in live. We just added Rock and Roll Geek to the lineup, by the way, on the stream. Good stuff. You can listen to it all day. And, of course, you can hop in and you can also chat along with the trolls if you so wish. And I also want to say in the morning to all of our artists who continuously are uploading fantastic album art. Of course, we can only choose one, and that honor was bestowed upon Illuminadia. And she brought us the artwork for episode 1039. Title of that was Bot Cops. And this was the brain with the Ambien, and it was the Ambien, I guess the
racist.
The composition of what Ambien is, zolpidem tartrate, and then it had a little arrow to the area of the brain where racism occurs, only in Roseanne, apparently, when you take the Ambien. And it was good. It was topical. It was a nice piece. I think she is standing in the area. Isn't she? She's
a biologist of sorts.
Of sorts?
Yeah, well, she does, I think she does the what's it called? You're doing gene stuff.
Oh, she reads your tarot cards?
No.
Sorry.
Genetic engineering and things of that nature.
Yes. She's a biochemist. Gotcha.
She's a biochemist is probably what it is.
Okay.
I don't know. We got so many high-end
We
people,
have a lot of... We got Eagle
Scouts. It's an embarrassment to us.
I mean, our show, we have our producers, biochemists. We have Eagle Scouts.
Tons of Eagle Scouts. Just hardly a week goes by, I don't get another letter from a different Eagle Scout. We have Eagle Scouts and hams. Both the same.
I'm very proud of that. I think that's quite a testament.
Yeah, who knew? We got a lot of military, too, and a lot of intelligence.
Yes. We must be Republicans.
Or something.
Yeah.
All right, we're starting off with some people to thank for being as executive producers and associate executive producers for show 1040, which didn't turn out to be such a great number.
I liked your whole 1040 idea.
The idea was funny.
Yeah.
I could have maybe expanded it to 1040, 1040 dimes. I could have done the whole bit, but I didn't.
Nah, we just need to focus on regional stuff.
So we have the number one donor is Anonymous in NorCal, who sent a note in. He sent he wants to be anonymous, and so he sent in a Western Union MoneyGram.
Nice.
John and Adam, here is a long overdue token, and it's in longhand, which is another way of saying cursive. We used to call it longhand.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a long overdue token of my esteem for your continuing efforts. Hopefully this note in cursive, or longhand when I was a kid, will make up for my slackness. If the pain you suffer gathering these clips is in any way proportional to the pain I suffer in listening to them, not in a bad way, I assume, You have truly earned this check. Gotta go. My head is killing me from writing this. No, my hand is killing me from writing this note.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Right. Your hand starts to ache. If you need to ID me in the future, please use writes like crap. That was it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your courage. I appreciate that. NJNK for him.
Apparently.
Okay.
Sir Marcellus, $333.33. And he writes, keep up the great work. Show after show is amazing. Album art is amazing. Producer sound bites and jingles are amazing. Songs and remixes are amazing. Your analysis is amazing. So it sounds like James Patterson. And I love how there's always discussions and disagreements about each other's analysis. I made up this word. And the show is absolutely fantastic when you disagree and discuss your different analyses. Like it and loving it. Thank you, Sir Marcellus. Okay. No jingles, no nothing.
All right. Thank you.
Tiffany Fiedler in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. And she writes, let me just start off this note with the fact that I'm turning 33. Is she on the list? Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
On June 8th, hence the 333 donation. Also, I'm looking for some sweet, sweet karma for my upcoming brain surgery on June 20th.
What?
She says, don't worry. It's not a tumor.
Oh.
It's my first donation, so please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Thank you guys for everything. My husband has been listening to you for so long that we have a set of commemorative coins for our wedding day, October 10th, 2010, 10-10-10. He always tried hitting me in the mouth, but I wasn't into podcasts, so I never gave in. Then he broke down the 6-week cycle for me, and I've been hooked ever since.
Nice.
My husband and I deconstruct together every night that we cook dinner together or take long car rides.
I will say, I do this with Tina. I'm sure you do it with Mimi. This is real connection. When you do the deconstruction
I would say
together.
if you're with a partner of any sort and you're no agenda folk, you probably are a happier couple than if you're just two people bickering about the news that you believe wholeheartedly. It comes out of any of these networks, or worse, the cables.
I agree.
I ask you guys to raise awareness for the horrendous disease that has laid me down for a year-long path to brain surgery. It's rare, so almost no one knows about it. But for those suffering, it's most likely the most difficult experience in their lives. It's called TN, which means trigeminal neuralgia.
Ugh.
I'm hoping to pronounce it right there. Also known as the suicide disease. Jeez. It's known for the electric shocks that cause excruciating pain whenever the weather is off or the wind hits our face or someone looks at us the wrong way. Adam, the best way I can explain it is this. Every time you suffer from a physical or verbal Tourette's tick, just grab a taser and tase yourself in the face.
Wow.
It's that bad, and I'm not kidding.
Oh, my goodness. And that's why she's having the brain surgery? This is a crazy disease.
I don't know what they do.
But it's known as the suicide disease, I presume, because it's like tasing yourself and you want to kill yourself?
Probably.
Jeez.
I guess it must.
Oh, it's horrible.
Please grace me with some health karma, a random Sharpton mix, 33 is the magic number, and maybe some shape-shifting Jew.
Okay.
Neighborhood Watch captain says he shot the teen in self-defense, but the young man was not armed. He was going back home after buying an iced tea and Skillet's candy. No name-calling, no incendiary language, just the facts. A young man dead. The assailant says self-defense. What is found on the young man, skillets and iced tea.
Roll up with the magical shape-shifting Jews. Step right this way. Roll up with the shape-shifting Jews. Roll up. The magical shape-shifting Jews.
33, that's the magic number. It's the magic number.
You've got
karma.
All right. Extra collage for you, Tiffany.
Yeah, geez. Onward to Sir Don Silva in Iwa Beach, Hawaii. You're welcome.
Hawaii.
$250. He's an associate executive producer. He did send a note in with a check. He hasn't sent much in recently, but I do remember him. Please excuse my typed letter. A stroke. He probably had a stroke recently, I'm guessing.
So we have the best producers ever, but they're dying.
Well, a stroke makes it difficult for me to do handwriting now. It's not impossible, but extremely difficult. Look at his signature here, but where's his name? It looks like it used to, so he's probably pretty good shape. I've tried several times now and gave it up if I'm ever going to get this donation to you. I've been a fan of John before No Agenda and later Adam. Your show is intelligent and insightful. I think you should do exactly as you wish. If you're tired of doing the show, then stop. It will be a great loss for us listeners. The decision, though, is up to you and not for us to decide. I would miss hearing your voices.
It would be a great loss of my apartment, of my car. It would be a great loss.
Hearing your voices after these many years, you taught me a lot about the media, for which I am grateful. Here's my donation to the show. Best wishes in the coming years for all your endeavors. So wisdom from an 82-year-old knight.
Ah, yes, Sir Don. Now I remember. Thank you for your courage, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, he's 82.
Yes.
So
I'm going to give him some health karma.
Yeah, do that.
You've got karma.
Speaking of which, you dropped quite a bombshell in the newsletter.
I'm getting a cataract surgery tomorrow morning.
Are you nervous?
No, not really.
I'd be beside myself. Of course, I've never had any procedure, so I'd be beside myself with angst. In my eye, no less.
My eye, and they put this big machine on, and the lasers start chopping away at your eye.
But first, they got to put that bracket in that opens up your whole eyeball.
Yeah, I feel like the guy in
Clockwork Orange. Oh man!
And they start showing me movies I don't want to watch.
Can you ask someone to take a picture?
No, I don't want anyone taking a picture.
Come on, I want to see it. Not for publication, just want to see it.
No.
So they laser off your lens. I read up on it. They laser off your lens, and then they give you a bionic eye. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
So
then everything I see gets reported to Langley.
Now you've chosen for the Bausch & Lomb, I believe.
Yes, Bausch & Lomb.
You didn't want Zeiss? You didn't think the Zeiss lenses were good?
I think they're all good. They're probably all fine, but I'm going with these, and then we'll see what I think, and then I'll write a little giblet about it, and Bausch & Lomb will buy a lot of copies and pass them out to their potential customers.
That's how we roll. Perfect. Exactly. But there may be some bruising. Is that the bottom line? You may experience some bruising for a few days. Will you be blind for a few days?
There's something that, well, you don't get to see very well for a while, but.
Okay.
I'm talking to my friend, the artist Bert Monroy, and I'm supposed to visit with him. And I said, after I get my eye operation, what are you doing? He says, I said, I'm getting a cataracts. He says, I've had both eyes.
Oh.
This guy's like a fine artist.
Wow.
And he says, when I had my first one done, everything looked so different. I demanded they do the other one right away.
Damn.
And they wouldn't do it. Of course, they won't do two eyes at once. And
now, so if you don't like the lens, is it reversible to put not reversible to put a different one in?
I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in the conversation. I don't expect it to be a problem.
Okay.
This is the lens. The adaptive lens is the one I want because I work on the computer so much.
Yeah. So it has a near bifocal, basically.
It's not bifocal. It actually works like a lens. It wiggles around in your eyeball.
Oh.
There's a third kind, which is this weird. It's got these little. It's like a Fresnel lens. It's got these little circles on it, and your brain has to decide how to interpret.
I just had do you think that you'll be winking a lot while you're getting used to it, and all the girls will be like, "There's that creepy guy again. He's winking at me."
Yeah, that creepy old guy that fart
winking at me.
Keep an eye out. I wear sunglasses to avoid that.
Well, I find it very interesting, and you're a brave man.
I'm not a brave. I have to have this done. It's like one of these things when you get a situation, a cataract that blurs your vision. You have to have this done. You don't have a choice.
And is this a hereditary thing? Can I get it just by touching you?
Almost everybody ends up with these.
Oh, no.
They get old enough. Yeah, you will probably get one. Unless you really wear sunglasses in the sun and you avoid,
Oh, I'm a celebrity. Of course I wear sunglasses indoor and at night.
Yeah, well,
okay.
Go back to those pink lenses you stole.
Well, I guess
anyway,
I'll do this. I'll do the spreadsheet on Sunday then.
Sir Don Silva, $250. Mike, and finally, last on our list is Mike Sabers, $200.38. He says, it's a scam. Why would I donate to the show the show could end? This is our recent 38.
That wasn't what we asked. We said, is it beyond its usefulness? Even if we're of no use, it will have to continue.
Yeah.
I got rent to pay.
We should try this again and with that explanation. Because nobody seemed to get it.
No.
And so, I mean, and I don't even want to do the votes because it was like it's over 100 yes votes and to stay with the show and none of the 37s. I mean, all the 37s turned out to be false positives or false negatives because it was like they put the 37 cents down and say, I want the show to continue.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't hear the question right. I mean, so I can't.
It was a scam. It was just no good.
Well, it wasn't a scam. It was just an epic fail.
It wasn't epic. It wasn't Bill Clinton.
No, it was just a fail.
It was fail. All right. Well, hey, you know what?
Wait, let me finish his note.
You do 2 a week. It's okay for some of them not to work.
Thank you for your work and NJJOBSK for my new job not to suck. So he wants NJ Jobs Karma. What's NJ? New Jersey?
No jingles.
No jingles but he wants Jobs Karma.
Okay.
No jingles Jobs Karma.
No jingle jobs.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for supporting the program. These are executive producers and associate executive producers, real credits that can be used anywhere credits are recognized. Since these people are really stepping up, we want to make sure we thank them in a starting segment before we get to our secondary thank you, which is in our...
just like the movies.
It's the real deal. Now, the movies, the credits come at the end. We don't even do it, that.
But they have credits at the beginning for the people that count.
Yep, that's true.
And then they put the minions, the peons at the end.
Yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that. We have a nice separate segment because we don't consider anyone to be a minion or a peon.
I agree. And so we don't do it at the end. And there's a lot of podcasts that do stuff at the end.
Yeah, where
they thank a bunch of people and produced by, we have a showrunner. And all this bull crap.
Thanks for the catering. Yeah, exactly. So we like because the show wouldn't work without our producers. We don't have listeners, we have producers, and we thank you very much. And remember, we have another show coming up on Sunday where we will get the full rundown on John's cataract surgery.
Dvorak.org/NA.
So go out there. No, you know what? Stay home. Your spouse. Hit that one in the mouth.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
I did mention other podcasts, and I want to play something that I ran into. I'm going through my archives if people haven't noticed on the
on the tweeters. Everyone is enjoying your 2 things. It's like, John found the news generator.
Fake news generator.
That was fun. And the other one was, John's cleaning something up. He's doing something with the archives. He's tweeting his train pictures. Yeah, he's moving. And
so
he moved the desk.
So I moved some stuff around with my latest Windows update. And I ran into this, and I don't know who this is from a podcast. I don't know who somebody might be able to identify who this guy is, but he's a podcaster delivering an advertisement. And I don't know why maybe we did play it on the show and I forgot about it, but I have no idea why. I mean, this is the worst kind of, to me, it just epitomizes this is, I've got a mattress and I'm using it. It's fantastic. You should all buy one. But listen to this one. This is Bugs.
I was wondering what clip it was going to be.
But first, let's talk about bugs. Because this episode is brought to you by Exo Protein. That's EXO protein. And when you go to exoprotein.com, you can use code BEN for a 10% discount. Now, before you stop listening because you think this is just yet another protein powder or protein bar, you should know that exoprotein is actually made from crickets. See, 80% of the world still eats over 1,600 species of insects.
It sounds a little bit like Thom Hartman, just a little bit.
Well, he says his name is Ben.
Oh, then it's not Thom.
And insects are one of the solutions to humanity's protein dilemma. They're actually as natural to eat as fruits and vegetables in most cultures, except these popular Western cultures that we live in. And they're a more complete form of protein than many of the livestock alternatives. And even though they have just as much protein as other forms of meat, crickets are 20 times more efficient to raise for protein compared to cattle and produce 100 times less greenhouse gases. Yes, apparently crickets fart less than cows. Anyways, they're high in protein. They contain all essential amino acids. They've got over twice the iron of spinach. They've got a ton of B vitamins. And the ones from Exo bars are cricket protein sources that I like because they're natural, they're dairy-free, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, paleo-certified, etc.
And apparently taste-free as well. Man, that's disgusting. I don't
totally know. Disgusting, and he's very serious about this because it's one of his sponsors.
Yeah, of course.
He doesn't eat this stuff.
He'll say he will. I ran across an article about the Chinese. You know, Mark Hall, his previous documentary was about tuna, sushi. Really, it was about tuna. It was anyway. The takeaway is if China ever really gets into eating sushi, then the ocean will dry up and we'll all be dead. That was kind of the idea because, you know, the bluefin and everything, the whole ecosystem that lives around it. And luckily that's not happening because the Chinese are really getting into cockroach sushi. How about that?
Well, good for the Chinese.
We eat bugs. You eat bugs. Nothing like freshly caught bugs. You want to try? Ooh, thanks. I love bugs. I love
bugs.
Bugs.
Tasty.
Tastes like poop.
It's the worst jingle in the world.
And one of our favorites.
Yes, I have to say. Now,
that could be our show if we were having, taking advertising, phony baloney.
Could you imagine?
Praise.
Can you imagine?
Insincere, just totally insincere nonsense we'd be doing. It's not. And I got some note from some nest, well, you're always uppity about your thing and, about your status as you don't have ads and you do this and that, it's bullcrap. But it's
that guy. Oh, that guy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that guy, the bullcrap guy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
it's not bullcrap.
Just thought we'd give an example of something I was just taken aback. Found in the archives.
The Anti-Defamation League has a database, and it is the database of hate symbols. And I had no idea there were so many seemingly, a lot of numerology actually, but seemingly innocuous symbols that are all hate symbols.
Oh, God, I can imagine.
I'd like to run through a couple with you.
So I guess they're all related to the swastika?
Well, we have 1-11. That is a numeric symbol used by the Aryan Knights.
1-11?
Yes. So either 3 1s, but it says
January 11th?
Yeah, kind of like that. 100%. Now, I have the 100%. Yeah, I have the 100% emoji. But
yeah, the little 100% emoji is a hate symbol?
100% is shorthand for 100% white among white supremacists. It is also common to create alphanumeric variations to proclaim solidarity with a particular white supremacist group or gang, such as 112% for 100%. Aryan Brotherhood. Woo! And then poor old number 12 is a hate symbol.
Oh, no.
Yes, the number 12 is a numeric symbol for the Aryan Brotherhood groups. As far as the numbers 1 and 2 separately, especially the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. But wait, the number 13 is also a hate symbol. That is the numeric symbol for the Aryan Circle. Again, Texas-based racist prison gang. And then there's number 14. 14 is the numerical shorthand for the white supremacist slogan known as the 14 words. Oh, yeah, I've heard of this one. The 14 words are, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for our white children. So those 14 words. So the number 14, just showing 14, or 14 words, or 14/23. So 14, of course, references the 14 words, and 23 refers to the 23 precepts, a list of rules that the Southern Brotherhood members must follow. Same goes for 1488. Combination of two common white supremacist numeric symbols, 14 again for the 14 words, and 88 is 44 is Heil Hitler. 18, well, I don't have to tell you, it's number 1 is the A, and that's for the Adolf, and the 8 is for the H for Hitler, Adolf Hitler. Sorry, number 18, you're off the list. 21-2-12. Nice palindrome. Oh, no. Hate symbol. Members of the Unforgiven, a Florida-based racist prison gang, used numeric symbols 21-2-12 as a slogan. The 211 crew, the 23 hand sign, the 2316, 28, 318, 33-6. The number 33 is used by the Ku Klux Klan adherents to signify the Ku Klux Klan. Since the 11th letter of the alphabet is K, 3 Ks signify KKK or the Ku Klux Klan. Klan members will frequently follow this with the number 6 to indicate the historical era. I mean, 38, 43, 5 words, 511, 737. Hello, Boeing. The number 737 is a numeric symbol used by Public Enemy Number 1, PENI, a California-based white supremacist gang, which presents on California streets and in its prisons. The number 737 corresponds to the letters PDS on a telephone keypad. That stands for Penny Death Squad. Holy crap. 83 is a hate symbol. 88, we already went through that. It just keeps on going, John. All these numbers.
This sounds like this is like ridiculous. And then they talk about the number 13 and never mention MS-13, the very nasty Mexican.
No, John. This is only for white people.
ABC is as racist as 1, 2, 3. What's the premise is do, re, mi. ABC, 1, 2, 3, baby, you're not C. ABC, it's as racist as 1, 2, 3. What's the premise is do, re, mi. ABC, 1, 2, 3, baby, you're not C.
There you go, Sir Chris Wilson, on the ball as always. Entire packages now show up in my email box. Read this. Here's the punchline. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Well.
The Supreme Court case was exactly what I said it would be about the gay baker and the bakery in Colorado who did not want to make the gay wedding cake.
Yeah.
And it was rather interesting how it was picked up by the media, which is what we'd like to deconstruct. Pretty much consistently, everyone talked about it being a very narrow ruling. Very narrow ruling. And I did read the ruling, and it said in there, this is a narrow case, but the way everyone made it sound like, oh, so close. But no, it was 7-2, I think.
Yeah, but that's not what narrow refers to.
I know, but
everyone's all bent out of shape about that. I noticed that.
So
7-2 is pretty lopsided.
Yeah, that would be pretty crushing, actually.
Yeah.
But I read the ruling, and beside there being a very distinct artistic freedom piece in it, Colorado's law, actually does not recognize same-sex marriage, which was also a part of the ruling. It's like, yeah, isn't that interesting? Now, that, of course, was completely interpreted differently by the ladies of The View.
The Supreme Court sided with Colorado baker Jack Phillips, who refused to bake a cake for a gay couple, citing religious objections and artistic freedom.
Yeah, so it was based on an artistic endeavor. So, for instance, I'm an artist. I'm a stand-up comic. I'm just giving myself an example.
I'll just use myself. Yeah, clang that. I'm going to play that again. Clang her when she says that. I'm an artist. I'm a comedian.
It was based on an artistic endeavor. So, for instance, I'm an artist. I'm a stand-up comic. I'm just giving myself an example. If they asked me to perform for a hate group or, say, Steve Bannon's birthday party, I could say no. Based on my beliefs, and I think...
Why doesn't... Oh, okay, never mind.
That it was similar to this, although it was a very narrow ruling, they're saying. So it does not spread out. You can back me up on this, the lawyer. It does not mean that every baker gets this same ruling.
Yeah, bring in the lawyer who didn't read the actual document.
Am I right?
Nobody does.
Yes and no. I mean, it sets a precedent, but it is a narrow ruling. And I think what the Supreme Court was trying to do, and we talked about this on the show, trying to balance, of course, the gay couple's rights, but with also someone's religious beliefs. Yes. And that's a very difficult balancing act.
No, it's not. And that wasn't the main part of the decision. It was you can't force someone to be creative on demand. And especially not when you have other bakeries in Colorado who refuse to make, and this was a good gambit, I didn't know it took place, who refused to make an anti-gay wedding cake. Interesting. That was a good setup, whoever did that. There were 3 or 4 bakers who said, I'm not going to put an anti-gay wedding cake together. You can't force me to do that.
Not surprised by the decision. I thought that was going to be the decision when we talked about it. But I want to read it more.
Yeah, how about reading it at all, you ditz?
At length before I...
At length. I want to read it at length. You didn't read it.
Creativity. It's not...
It's also about religious beliefs.
Due to his religious beliefs, he also didn't make Halloween cakes, adult-themed party cakes, and although he
didn't want to make a wedding cake, but he would make the gay couple
he would serve gay people and sell to them, just not the wedding cake, which was something he specified here. I found he was a very lovely man and very rooted in his beliefs. I disagree with this because I just disagree on its face. I love the gays, but
wow. I love the gays.
She said, I love the gays.
I love the gays, which means all gays are the same.
Gays.
That's an incredibly bigoted statement.
Yeah.
Because I love the gays. Really? I'll introduce you to a couple of gays you may not like, lady.
Lovely man and very rooted in his beliefs. I disagree with this because I just disagree on its face. I love the gays.
I love the gays. I love the gays. The gays. They're so great to go to parties with. Jeez.
Two, I think it's also a slippery slope because I think when you start allowing people certain freedoms based on almost the discrimination of someone else, even if it's just the wedding cake, where do we stop?
Slippery slope? What slippery slope?
But I love that they take this bakery, which is and I'll just reiterate my position, which turns out is the Supreme Court's position in general, is if you cannot refuse to serve someone, a product that you have in your store, that would be discrimination. And we have protected classes, and I'm pretty sure the gays are not protected in Colorado or anywhere for that matter. But, you reserve the right not to serve anybody, but you're a dick. It's like, then you're clearly a bigot if you don't want to serve someone an existing product. But to force someone by law to make something they don't want to make, I don't care what it is.
Yeah,
who is for it? It doesn't matter. You can't. Imagine this: someone going to the court and suing the No Agenda show for not talking about something.
I'd like to know, and the thing that's not discussed, and you're not mentioning, is your article, your piece. Who voted no?
Oh,
who were the 2 people?
Well, who do you think?
Ginsburg would be one of them.
Yes.
I don't know who the other one.
And the other one, not Sotomayor. Sotomayor was all in. Who was the other one? Troll Room should know. That is an obvious one.
The only real obvious one is Ginsburg was just a dipshit, to be honest.
RGB, as she's called. She has this gang name now. Yeah, it's true. The OGRGB. The troll room doesn't know either. Sotomayor was for it. Sotomayor was for it. Well, thanks.
Who could be? Breyer? Kennedy?
Kennedy? No, I don't think so.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we won't know.
Somebody needs to know this. This is the thing that's important to me.
Okay.
But we're on the topic of discrimination. I think I got a little ageist clip here.
Is this about IBM?
No, it's about a new show coming up.
Because I was reading that IBM is some court case. Apparently, for the past maybe 5 years, they've been letting go over 20,000 people who were over 40.
Curiously, this is 40. This is the same kind of thing. This is on ABC, one of the horrible networks. And when they get rid of Roseanne, and they would put this on. This, I think, is going to replace Roseanne. It's called The Rookie. And
yeah. I saw a preview of this.
And it's about a 40-year-old guy who becomes a rookie cop. And the line, which is going to be hard to hear, but it's about 2/3 of the way through it. The black woman, and they have a lot of stories now they've introduced a lot of black characters. They did it with black women, not black men. Black men, they have a wide range of characters they play. But black women always play some horrible person. And I don't know why they're doing it. And I think the black community should be up in arms about it. But they're just dicks. And this black woman, this black woman's a dick, and she says that's because you're old as hell.
Officer John Nolan, I'm here to work, and I won't let you down. You get to ride with the 40-year-old rookie. Sergeant Gray does not appear to be a fan of my presence.
Because you're old as hell?
The Rookie, coming this fall.
Yeah, it's ageist.
Because you're old as hell?
Yeah.
But I want to know, we have cops that listen to this show.
40's not old. 40's not old.
40's not old.
Jeez.
But apparently on this show on ABC, 40's old as hell. Hey, if you're 40, you're old as hell.
I'm 53, and
you're over the hill, man.
I ride better than the 25-year-olds in spin class. So I don't know what's wrong. They give up. They got no stamina. They have just. Can I just lose the weight without doing anything? By the way, it was Sotomayor. So it was OGRGB and Sotomayor. They were against it. Everyone else was for.
Yeah, forced labor. They'd probably be for slavery too. Those two. Seriously, that's what it is. That's what it amounts to. You have to do what I say.
Yes.
Anyway, so
you had some tech news. You told me you had some tech news.
You did your tech news thing, and I more I think about it, the more I'm going to put it off, because what I want to talk, I need to have the details, the names, and some of the stuff. But some new it says Windows has gone to this new version. There's a couple of little gotchas in there that I get. I say, what is this?
Well, tell me about it. What is? I have the new version.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Okay, now you go. I see. I can't run the new version on my NUC. Because it's an old beta.
I have the new version.
But there's used to be right next down at the bottom of your screen. Do you have this crap at the bottom of the little icons?
Yeah, I got crap here, yeah.
Okay, now you see the open box. It's a search box.
Yeah.
You see that little thing next to it?
The circle?
Is it a circle?
Oh, you mean I know what you mean. Yes, the task view is what it says.
Yeah, task view. Well, there's a new version of that. It's not task view anymore. It's called something else.
No, it is task. I've seen it because the icon changed. It is new, but I don't know if it works.
It's got a timeline on it.
Yes,
the old task view never did that.
No.
So click on it.
Yeah,
and open up your screen.
Yeah.
And now there's a little timeline on the side, and you see all the stuff that you've been looking at.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
For the last number of days.
Mm-hmm.
So now, which never used to exist. This never used to exist. And so now, you can turn it off. There's a problem. You got to go deep into your settings, and you can find a way to turn it off so it doesn't do this, unless you want it to. But every nude photo you happen to click on is when you go through the archives.
I see the problem.
When you go through the archives, there's a lot of stuff you click and what is this? Now, I've turned mine off. I don't have this issue. But here's what I'm thinking. Hey, can I borrow your computer for a second?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Woo, let me take a look at your timeline. Ooh.
And you hit the button down there, and the next thing you know, you have it. You open up there, and it's got a slider, so you can go back as far as this thing's going. It usually goes back to when it was first installed. But, they can say it's been going on for months. You can go back and look at somebody else's timeline effortlessly and spy on them. This is not a good feature to just drop on the public out of the blue without really giving it. I mean, you could go to the website to tell you the new features in Windows and how you can, change the variables and all the rest. No, nobody does that. They just run the install. They get the new version, which has some other features, too, that are kind of cool. And then you got this little gotcha.
What other features that are kind of cool?
Oh, there's some other stuff.
Well, hold on. Here's the number one thing that pissed me off. They turned on Cortana again. I didn't want that. Don't install a new thing and turn it back on. Because I was talking to my tube, and I went, hey, tube, which is its name. Hey, tube. And then Cortana went, can I help you? Like, what? Listening again.
Well, you can turn it. That's easy to disable.
Yeah.
But yes, they do a lot of that stuff. And this little gotcha timeline thing really is like, this is a spy tool. This is not something that, and here's the thing about it. Here's what really bugs me. It doesn't even work right. All it does is spy on you, because here's an example. I left it on because I was playing with it. And so you go to a web browser. You got 5 tabs open in the browser, and you look, and they're all different kinds of things that you want to keep track of. You close one of the tabs, let's say by accident. You go to the timeline. It doesn't reappear. So that I was using it, I was playing with it, I was doing something on this web page, and I turned it off. But because it's within the browser has to have its own timeline.
You know what?
So you have to go to browser history. So this thing doesn't even work right.
All of this insanity started when they stopped giving you free versions to beta test. You would have set them straight.
Yeah, whatever. I did get off. I used to be on the beta test list, and I'm not anymore.
I know. It seems
that was my tech news. It was not really tech news. It was a tech complaint.
Yeah, I keep. But
I'm warning people out there. If you got that little thing, that new little icon in the corner there, go to settings, and go to privacy. Go to settings. Go to privacy, and within the privacy category, you'll find ways to turn that thing off.
Another life-saving, relationship-saving tip from the No Agenda Show.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
Job-saving tip, perhaps. You imagine?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. That's not good by default. I agree. That should not be something that just appears. It's a privacy violation.
I think so.
Clearly. Facebag back in the news. And when I first read the story, I'm like, oh, geez, of course I could have known this was taking place. Because if you've ever set up a newish phone, whether it's iOS or Android or a television for that matter, you probably saw that you could enter your Facebag credentials right into some system setting of the phone. And
why?
Yeah, and well, that had a reason, which NPR discussed.
The New York Times reports that Facebook has had data sharing agreements with at least 60 other tech companies, including giants like Apple and Amazon and Microsoft. Basically, these companies could access information on Facebook users and their Facebook friends, all without their explicit consent. I gather you actually tried this out yourself. You got a BlackBerry phone.
That's right. We plugged in my Facebook account information to this BlackBerry phone after deleting the app. And right away, it started sucking down all kinds of information. It got my email address and cell phone number, both sides of my private messages, and the names and user IDs of the people I exchanged messages with. We got the names, birthdays, work and education histories of nearly all of my 550 friends. And then we were actually able to push it a little further and recover the names and pretty important user ID from their friends, which ended up taking us from about 550 people to about 295,000 people just from a single account.
How worried should I be? Should I be worried?
Well, I mean, first of all, there's obvious value in being able to open your photo album and post something directly to Facebook without opening the app.
You're saying there are practical ways this may be really helpful to Facebook users.
Right, or to view your friends' birthdays right from your native contact book or calendar apps. And the reality is it's unlikely that these companies are doing anything untoward with this information, according to experts that we've talked to. But the danger comes in when these companies either store this information on their own servers or expose it on the device to third-party apps that can sync up with it and then do who knows what with it.
What's Facebook saying in response to your story?
Facebook has put out a statement saying it disagrees with our story, but they haven't disputed any of the facts. They say that in the cases of these device partnerships, they consider the outside companies extensions of Facebook, not third parties. They also appear to be making the case that when my device collects the data of my friends, I then own that information, and it's up to me whether I want to risk sharing it or not by syncing it up with other apps.
So again, we see that the actual problem in all of this is the phone itself. It's not just FaceBag. It's what the phone itself has and exposes to anyone who builds an app.
I just play Angry Birds personally on the phone.
Oh, dude, there's all kinds of spyware in Angry Birds. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Well, you should be. Nah, it's abhorrent. It's abhorrent. But in the the EU is they're going after. They're really, you wrote a pretty good article about the GDPR, the
GDPR,
General Data Protection Regulation. And what was your summation? Was basically nothing will ever happen. There will be some complaints.
My summation was what it turned out to be. I don't like it, and I think it's a way to gouge American companies if they get away with it because they love to do that. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that the way all these things work with high-tech companies is that it always does a fallback to best practices. Mm-hmm. And so what will happen will be some organizational crop up, some bogus organization that all these big companies will pay $10,000 a year to become members of, and they'll develop these best practices. And then everyone will just follow the leader, and they all do these best practices. So if anybody gets sued over anything, they can go to court and say, hey, we follow best practices. We do. This is all you can do according to this group.
Right.
That says that this is all you can do. The rest of it's bogus. And so they makes themselves harmless, blameless. I mean, they can't get sued. And this is how it always boils down. It's just another scam. It's just a whole thing.
Here's the latest that the EU is doing, and this is a new regulation that is, I think it's still in proposal.
Yes, I've heard about this. This is good.
Yeah, it's good and it's not good. It's good because
it's good that you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's not good because they're very vague. This is the directive of the European Parliament and of the Council on copyright in the digital single market, and. Right. And so there's, when it comes down to copyright, this is a very, very complicated topic, particularly when you look at copyright in multiple countries and unions, etc. But coming out of this is something clearly aimed at the Googles and the Bings, as the measure that is being proposed in this draft, which I think maybe they endorse it or they vote on it tomorrow. I've got to check. So this measure would allow press publishers to ask search engines to pay them for showing articles for up to 1 year after publication. There was an original proposal which had foreseen giving publishers the right to ask for payment for up to 20 years. It also forces YouTube to seek a license from every single rights holder for displaying their content. And this is very interesting when it comes to music video. YouTube has really been ripping off artists to an extreme amount with how they monetize music videos. So I think that this, and moreover, because it's so vague and they're not really stating anything. It's in the show notes.
But you can see where this is headed. This is the same thing that happened to cable networks. At first, it was like you set up a cable. This is a classic example of what, I don't know what to call it, but a switchback might not be a bad word, where the cable networks are all of a sudden doing everybody a favor, and they are they've got the cable so you can see the San Francisco stations in some rural area because they have this used to be called the community antenna.
Ah, yeah.
And so it was doing everybody a favor. And then the cable networks said, hey, you should pay to be on this. And they started saying, you guys should pay to be on this network because we're rebroadcasting your stuff. And that sounded like a good idea for a while. And then all of a sudden, as the cables became more important than over the air, which is still available everywhere, it got turned around. And all of a sudden, you should be paying us to reproduce our content. And so it just switched. It turned around. Instead of us paying you, you pay us. And that little debate shows up as a major trend. It happens everywhere. And it was just a matter of time, it seems to me, before Google had to pay. I mean, because at first it's like you wanted to be on Google.
Let me back you up on that. MTV had a huge issue. They had the music videos, and of course they had a blanket license, which you have to play into for any kind of music. But to get around, I think it was the sync rights. It was the sync right because there would be no royalty for the video director. Anyway, long story short, what MTV, they had a consent decree, and the agreement was at the beginning and end of every video within the first 10 and last 10 seconds, every music video, they would show the album that the song was from. That was for the record labels because like, oh man, people don't want to buy albums anymore. And the second was they had to show the video's director. So giving credit was how they kind of got around paying for some of that. But now we have, and I'm always suspicious of these groups. I love this. SaveYourInternet.eu. This thing has Google written all over it. Don't let the EU break our internet. Tell your member of European Parliament to save it before June 20th. June 20th, the European Parliament will vote on the copyright directive. Members of the Parliament are the only ones that can stand in the way of bad copyright legislation. Tell them you need to protect your internet. Now, when you read this thing, this whole website, it's not, especially Article 13, I guess is what they're talking about, doesn't really explain what the problem is. They just have little cartoons. You should look at it, John. SaveYourInternet.eu. So here it is. Article 13 threatens blogging platforms. And there's a girl there like, let me blog. Article 13 threatens gamers that live stream. And there's a gamer in a chair going, let me live stream. Article 13 threatens discussion platforms. And there's a little Reddit with a girl, let me comment. Article 13 threatens the sharing of memes. Oh, no. Oh, they're breaking the... It's SaveYourInternet.eu.
Oh, okay.
And Article 13 threatens the sharing of parodies. Oh, let me parody. Hold on, let's take a look at Article 13. This is not pissing me off. What are these people doing? Do you see this website? Doesn't it look like
I'm looking at it now.
Doesn't it look like basically a total Silicon Valley job?
Scam of it looks a little more amateurish than I think Google could accomplish in this day and age, maybe 10 years ago. But I don't know who's.
It's okay. Now you see all.
It's dumb.
Now look at all of those things at the bottom, what it threatens, and I'm going to read Article 13 to you. Okay, so you see all the things like, it's going to. I won't be able to live stream.
By the way, the group involved in this, it would have to be on this list, and I don't see Google, but I do see. I can't even read the first. Electronic Frontier Foundation looks kind of like their work. Creative Commons, Wikimedia, Civil Liberties for XNet, a lot of who knows who these people are stuff. It's got to be one of these guys. But who? Right.
Yeah, well, it's all private. The domain names are all private. I tried to figure that out.
This, by the way, to me is a giveaway that somebody's behind it. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you make something that's supposed to be so for humanity private? You hide it, anonymize the owner of the website. Give me a break.
So Article 13, I'm looking at, I presume this is this is Chapter 1, Chapter 2. Article 13, here we go. Use of protected content by information society service providers storing and giving access to large amounts of works and other subject matter uploaded by their users. This is user-generated content.
Right.
I think we should. It's just 3 paragraphs. I think we should go through this. Okay. 1, information society service providers. This is new. Information society service providers. What the hell is this? That's new. It used to be information providers, information service providers. But what is this society business?
What's it called again? Information society?
Yeah, information society service members, service providers. So I guess if you're an information society, well, maybe there's a definition. Hold on.
I'm looking it up. Keep reading.
I want to see the document. It might be in the document itself if they have a definition. Let's just see. Nope, they don't. Okay.
And I'll interrupt.
Yes. Now I got to go back to the top here. Where are we? Where are we? Where's 13, people? I just lost it. Jeez, this is a big document. Okay. Here we go. Article 13.
But while you're trying to find your way,
I'm trying to get back. Here it is. I got it. Information society service providers that store and provide to the public access to large amounts of works or other subject matter uploaded by their users shall, in cooperation with rights holders, take measures to ensure the functioning of agreements concluded with right holders for the use of their works or other subject matter, or to prevent the availability on their services of works or other subject matter identified by rights holders through the cooperation with the service providers. Those measures, such as the use of effective content recognition technologies, shall be appropriate and proportionate. The service providers shall provide rights holders with adequate information on the functioning and the development of the measures, as well as, when relevant, adequate reporting on the recognition and use of the works and other subject matter. 2. Member states shall ensure that the service providers referred to in paragraph 1 put in place complaints and redress mechanisms that are available to users in case of disputes over the application of the measures referred to in paragraph 1. Oh, this is juicy. And 3, finally, member states shall facilitate, where appropriate, the cooperation between the information society service providers and right holders through stakeholder dialogues to define best practices such, Jesus, John, you're from the future, such as appropriate and proportionate content recognition technologies, taking into account, among others, the nature of the services, the availability of the technologies, and their effectiveness in light of technological developments. So we could sue anybody who's hosting a copy of our show, I guess, in Europe.
We could, but we've encouraged it.
I know.
A lot of trouble making it work.
I know.
Here's the definition, the free definition. The Free Dictionary Company. Information Society Service, a concept within European e-commerce comprising any service normally provided for remuneration at a distance.
At a distance?
At a distance, meaning that, it's like you set something up and it's like automatic and you're not handling. You're not no moderation. By means of electronic equipment for the processing, including digital compression and storage of data, and at the individual request of a recipient of a service. It covers internet service providers. See also caching and hosting. It's a hosting, it's a...
Well, this is not just hosting. This is for Facebag, Google, Bing,
it's for
everybody. Yeah. And what you're seeing is the news media saying, "Oh, this is great. Yeah, vote that in." And then Google will have to pay us, bitches. Pay us for the news, which is, of course, a very adversarial position to take, and may not be the best way to go for them, because then no one will read their stupid news.
Well, they're dumb over there, but let's look at it from another perspective. This is, again, that switchback phenomenon where you're paying one way and then they're paying you the other way after a while. And so right now, Google is more valuable to them because you get your links. In fact, a lot of these publishers in Europe, that remember years ago, we don't want, Google to cover us because they're caching our pages.
Yeah, they wanted to get paid
so they
back
took them
then.
right off.
Yeah.
Took them right off the search engine. Now, if you wanted to find anything about these companies or even know that they exist, you're not getting it from Google. And so that's like, and most people in their right minds would pay Google if they could, and they do, I guess, in their advertising model, to give them listings. You want people to, because people go to Google or Bing for that matter, and they type something in and they want to find your site.
Right.
And so Google,
right.
So that's right now the way. That's the value. They're trying to reverse it. I think they're premature.
So from this page, how is the internet awesome? The internet lets us access more information than ever before, find a rich diversity of news sources, keep in touch with our friends, Facebag, find new music and videos, and more. Why is it so awesome? Because what you see and do online is up to you, not some big business or bureaucrat. That's rich, coming from Google and Facebag. How is it threatened? The European Commission and the Council want to destroy the internet as we know it and allow big companies to control what we see and do online. That's bullshit. Has nothing to do with it. That's a lie. It's the exact opposite. Should Article 13 of the Copyright Directive proposal be adopted, it will impose widespread censorship of all the content you share online. The European Parliament is the only one that can step in and save your internet. No. You can set up a Mastodon server and you don't charge for it, and you'll be fine. Within parameters, of course, but you can have your own little website. That won't be a problem. This is against the big guys. Gee, I wish I could figure out who made this thing. Let's see. Maybe
it'll take a little work. You could probably call the EFF and ask them why they gave money to these guys and say, who was it you gave the money to? That's what I do.
Are they on there? Are they on there as supporters?
Yeah, EFF's listed as one of the sponsors.
Jeez.
And they're pretty open about stuff.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see in the source of the page.
Everybody else is like, I've never heard of half of these operations.
One of our producers out there can probably figure it out. I certainly couldn't do it with a trace route and not with a whois lookup. Even their name servers are protected. So
yeah, which is very sketchy. When people do that, I'm very suspicious.
And then, well, this is interesting. So Creative Commons, they also supported this. The Creative Commons, it makes no sense. The Creative Commons is the antidote to this problem, I think. I've used it very successfully.
So I don't know.
Well,
maybe you're misinterpreting it, or maybe they're made a mistake in approving it, or maybe they're just being used.
News publishers in Europe cheered the agreement, calling it a, quote, decisive step in the right direction. We remain confident that policymakers will continue showing support for an exclusive right to underpin investment in the free and democratic European press. The European Newspapers Publisher Association said. Well, this is going to be bad for both those guys. It's going to be good for us. I think good in general, just for the internet. I think it's the opposite. It's going to be great. Get rid of all the junk.
Yeah, definitely get rid of a lot of junk.
Just get rid of the junk, please. Hey, that ends our tech news segment.
The only good phone's a landline, and the phone should be made out of Bakelite. I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Well, we have a few people to thank for show 1040. We're going to thank them now. They're all helped us out, starting with a check from Bruce and Amy Schwalm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, $133.33. Sir Tyler Fox in Cedar Park, Texas, 12345.
Hey, drunk donation. Nice.
He says, you guys rock past the tequila. Drunk Baron out. Sir Ever of the Watt, Linwood, Michigan, 10438. Anonymous, 7120. Drops off pretty quick here. 7120. Thomas Novak, and one of my favorite towns besides Gnawbone, Indiana, is Saudi Daisy.
Yes, Tennessee.
You have a note from him.
Yeah, Thomas Novak will be knighted today.
I believe so.
So if you could find the note, that would be handy.
He's going to be knighted as who?
He's going to be knighted as Sir Feste? F-E-S-T-E?
Yeah, he actually sent me a couple of things. He sent me some reads for the pre-show, because, you always ask me to read something. He sent a bunch of stuff. Very sketchy stuff. Hey, John, when you get this, we'll be off at the No Agenda Tennessee meetup, or about to be Friday, June 8th, which is yesterday, I guess. Or no, it's tomorrow. The No Agenda Tennessee meetup's Friday, June 8th, 3 p.m. And people can go to ChattanoogaRiverboat.com. It's going to be at the ChattanoogaRiverboat.com. Go there. Third deck at the Third Deck Burger Bar. I don't know what the Chattanooga Riverboat is, but it has a website.com. I can barely read his writing. To steal and for the next week going to attend riverboatfestival.com. Okay, he's going to go to that. Be there. Info at noagendasocial.com at Tom Novak for the people who want to go to this meetup, which is tomorrow. I've been over the knighthood threshold a while, so I need to pick up the pace. I'll request Sir Festa, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. We got a plug in for the meetup.
Very good.
We wanted to do. Onward. That was Thomas Novak. Jeffrey Sewell in San Jose, California. You know, we had what's his first name? Sewell was the Department of Defense. He was the war head of the Department of War, which we used to have a Department of War. This was Sewell. He's very famous, and for some reason I can't remember his first name at the moment. But I didn't realize that when they assassinated Lincoln, they shot him too.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Didn't know it either. I got to look into that. Sir Chris of the Low Earth Orbit. Or anyway, Sewell is San Jose 5678. Sir Chris of the Low Earth Orbit, Houston, Texas 5638. Stephen Schnabel 5538. Gavin Haberfield 5338. These are the leftovers from the thing we did with 38 and 37. Michael Gates 5280. Darren Christie, Spokane, Washington 5150. Sir Luke the Baron of London 5138. Great show, guys. I'm looking for the karma at the end. Jacob Lester in Glad Spring, Virginia 5138. Marcus, I don't know, it's McAllister. He's in Deutschland, so I can't read it. Mueller maybe.
Mueller.
Mueller. I don't have. It's just it's garbled. Sorry, Marcus. 503. Write it next time without the umlaut or whatever you're using. Toby Ray, a female in Duncan, BC, Canada, 5038. Daphne Mitchell, 5038, in Oceanside, California. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio, $50. These are all $50 donors, name and location if available. Edward Mazurek, Memphis, Tennessee. Paul von Cordelar in Ulmuden.
Eimouden, come on.
Eimouden in...
You know this.
I do, but...
At this point, Paul
I'll tell you what it is.
Paul is just donating. He's just donating to hear you mess it up every time.
Well, it's because on this spreadsheet, the IJ looks, instead of so I can say Eimouden.
That's the cataracts talking, boy.
It's the cataracts. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Joseph Pumphrey in Brandon, Mississippi. David Schlesinger in Rosemont, Illinois. Matthew Januszewski, Sir Matthew, if I'm not mistaken, in Chicago. Villarreal in Mercedes, Texas. Robert Clayson, Sir Robert, if I'm not mistaken, in London. Todd Moore in Arlington, Virginia. Jason Deluzio in Chatsford, Pennsylvania. And last but not least, Sir Brett Farrell in Oklahoma City. I want to thank all these folks for producing show 1040.
Yeah, and grabbing one from the bin here, from a little bit lower down, as it was okay to read it on the air, from Rick and Charlene Brandon. In the morning, gentlemen, we have just made our first donation to your show from profits we've received through our online business, Brandon Creations. Amount was $15.25, and Charlene put it in, donated. Our line currently consists of handmade jewelry made by my wife, Charlene, with plans to add blacksmith items created by myself once the skills develop. So they're just giving us a part of their profit.
Good.
That's really nice.
Yeah, well, maybe some jewelry would be good, too.
Yeah, send us some jewelry. They do say they're working towards their knight and damehood, and they humbly request a double de-douching. I'll give you that.
You've been de-douched.
We'll just have to leave it into one, if you don't mind. And for all those who need
jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got... karma.
And we thank everybody very much for supporting the show. We have another one coming up on Sunday. Please remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA. It's a birthday on No Agenda.
Well, short, sweet, and simple today. Only one birthday. Two. Tiffany Fielder. She turns 33 tomorrow, and we have a double magic number. Sir Tyler Fox turned 33 on the 6th. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. And then we only have one knighting for today, so grab your blade.
There's a guy right here.
Yes. Thomas Novak. Come on up. Pop up. Yeah, you can take the steps over there. It's easier. All right. Up here next to the lectern. Yes, you, my friend, will take your well-deserved spot here at the round table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames for your support of the program in the amount of $1,000 or more. And I hereby am very proud to pronounceate the Surfest 12th night of the No Fixed Abode. For you, my friend, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay. We've got Steel Reserve and Black Milds. We got Pog and Poi, Dame Elisa's Limoncello and Salmon, Rabbit Meat and Goat Milk, Dr. Pepper and a Quick Handy, Boobs and Stinky Tofu. We got Breast Milk and Pablum, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Vodka and Vanilla, and Mutton and Mead. Excuse me. Head over to noagendanation.com/rings and input your details, and Eric the Shield will get that to you as soon as possible. Could take a couple weeks. We order them in bulk. Once we have them, there was a complaint the other day. It took months. I'm happy I got it, but it took months. Yeah, that's because unlike a store who has 15 size 7s, we can't afford to stock all these different sizes. And I think
run out.
We tried that at the beginning, and it was a very bad idea because we were left over with a whole bunch of sizes, that didn't fit any of our producers or our knights and dames. So that's why it takes a little bit. And we thank Eric the Shill for always doing that. Let me see.
Well, I've got something I want to play.
All right.
They had this guy, there's an ITV report that was played on independent television network out of England that is played, that PBS uses a lot to report a lot of crazy stories. And they put this in here, and I'm wondering why this was played at all. It's about this guy, Ayman Dean, who was an MI6 spy that had infiltrated Al-Qaeda.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little item in here within the report that makes you go, what are they talking about this little item? Now, this is a nice report about this spy, and he doesn't work for MI6 anymore, supposedly. He's not out living a normal life, but play this clip.
By the 11th, almost 3,000 people killed, and Dean had known one of the hijackers. By now, though, he'd moved to London, using the need for medical treatment as cover to become a British spy.
Your job was to carry radios and phones into Afghanistan that enclosed MI6 bugging devices. Is that it?
Well, more than that. My job basically was to report on locations of camps, the new training methods, the individuals coming in and out, and also at the same time keeping up with Al-Qaeda's WMD program at the time.
Well, if you were doing all that, why did an attack like September the 11th happen?
If you wanted to stop 9/11, you have to have at least 12 spies inside Al-Qaeda, and each one inside one of the different departments. Only then you could have stopped it.
What was your biggest intelligence coup, as far as you're concerned, in terms of what you managed to prevent?
Well, there were several. There was a plot to attack the New York subway with chemical weapons, a chemical device that was invented during my time, actually, in that specialist lab in Afghanistan. And I was reporting on it regularly to the UK Secret Services.
He never visited MI6 headquarters. Before any meeting, he'd call his handlers from a series of phone boxes to be given a rendezvous and to allow spotters from MI5 to check he wasn't being followed. His spying career ended in 2006 during a boat ride on holiday in Paris. He was told the Americans had leaked details of his identity to a journalist. MI6 ordered him back to London.
Do you have any lasting regret that you betrayed people whom you had become friends with?
No. I did not betray a state. I betrayed a bunch of criminals, as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know about this guy. I hadn't heard this story.
You knew about him?
No, I had not. Did not know about
him. He's out floating around bitching. So I'm listening to this, and it goes that, wait a minute. Somehow somebody in the United States was telling reporters about this guy, and they had to pull him. It was like somebody compromised. Was it a spy and a spy? What was the deal? I couldn't figure it out. And so I looked into the leadership of the CIA, and it has to be CIA because they're the counterpart of MI6.
Yeah,
and they would know about this guy, especially if he was talking about putting bombs or doing gas and
subway stuff. Yeah.
So I'm looking, I'm thinking, I bet you this is that Muslim Brennan.
Is that the voice you make when you think that?
Yeah, when I think about Brennan.
Brennan.
But no, it goes back to 2006. And it's obvious it was Porter Goss, who never shows up in the conversation. Porter Goss was the shortest CIA director. He was less than a year. And he was kicked out around March or April after a meeting that he had with George Bush. And then he just they quit. And they never said why. If you look at his Wikipedia page, you notice he was out in March or April of 2006. And they brought in Michael Hayden, who stayed in there till 2009. It's doubtful it's Hayden, who's kind of a freak. And so it had to be Goss. And what was Goss doing? Slipping information like this to reporters. And then obviously he didn't stay in the office for long after that. But it seems pretty. What was going on? But is it common for the CIA to just tell reporters about MI6 guys? Why wasn't somebody arrested for this? What isn't it illegal to out a spy?
Yeah, you can go to jail for it.
Yeah, well, how come nobody went to jail for this?
I don't know.
And who was the reporter? There's a lot of untold stuff here, but I just find
so what's your conclusion?
The guy drops a bomb. What?
What's your conclusion?
I think I don't have anything further to say except that Porter Goss seems to be somehow involved in it because it makes sense with the timeline. And he was so short-lived in that office. But it's like, is this go on a lot? Or how did this happen? I don't know any of the details. They don't say anything. But this guy's obviously outed himself as a spy, and I think it's for that reason. And when he says it in this interview, the guy the interviewer changes the subject. If they was talking to me, I'd say, what? Who did that? Who was it? What do you know about this? About the leak to the reporter?
Yeah,
because it's going on now.
And this was on what? Oh, on ITV, you said. Interesting.
It was on ITN, but it was on PBS, but it was an ITN report.
But
and it was like a sore thumb. It made no sense.
But how does it fit into today? It doesn't.
CIA's got leakers.
Oh, gee! Wow, John. Big development.
I'm a genius.
Big development there. I got a twofer here. I got a story and a clip and a little story that goes with it. You probably heard this.
The data of more than 92 million users of the genealogy website MyHeritage has been leaked after a security breach. The company announced that it learned about the breach yesterday. They say it happened back in October of last year. MyHeritage says it was discovered by a security researcher who found email addresses and hashed passwords on a private server outside of the company's website. The company has set up a 24/7 security customer support team, and they say they believe that only user emails were exposed. MyHeritage says information about family trees and DNA data were not affected.
I've always said these centralized systems are no good, and I guarantee
they've never been any good.
I guarantee you, LifeLock or Equifax, LifeLock, one of these guys, where you have everything stored, down to your passport and all this stuff. Those guys are going to get hacked too. It's unavoidable. It's the law of Professor Ted's law. You just can't get around it. But this is relatable to, and I did not know this bill had passed. One of our producers a while ago, I'm going to say maybe almost a year ago, certainly 7 or 8 months, had told us about this rapid DNA. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Well, the Rapid DNA Act of 2017 passed, and the president signed it. And I want to share, just to remind you what it does. The Rapid DNA Act establishes a system for rapid DNA's nationwide coordination amongst law enforcement departments by connecting it to the FBI's Combined DNA Index System. Now, this Combined DNA Index system is very important because, and we knew this from our producer, it can analyze and match DNA in minutes. In minutes, I tell you. Versus, just like CSI. Versus the month, week, month, or sometimes annual, just years it would take for this to happen. So this is new technology, and no one's really talking about it. And I'm not well versed in DNA stuffs at all.
Well, Illuminatia is.
Good, but she needs to look into this.
She is. I could be wrong.
She needs to
send us a report immediately.
The Electronic Frontier Foundation expressed doubts about the accuracy of rapid DNA, which is too late now because it's done, it's approved. Rapid DNA, quote, rapid DNA only has been tested on single source samples, like a swab taken directly from a person's inner cheek. And yet, rapid DNA manufacturers are trying to convince law enforcement agencies to buy these machines to get through their backlog of rape kits and for low-level property crimes, situations where there's a very good chance the DNA came from multiple people, some of whom may had no connection to the crime at all. So there's still all these doubts about DNA. But we've been programmed to believe in it. It's science, after all. Yeah, they can put a new eyeball on you. So I'm sure they can do this. Yeah, they can do that. No problem. Look into rapid DNA.
So there's a couple things going on that need to be discussed. I do have a 5-minute clip blitz of 6 clips.
You want to do that now?
Do that whenever you want.
Okay, I will call for it. Yes.
Okay. Comey's going to be lambasted by a report. Did you hear about this?
Is this the OIG report?
I think it might be.
Yeah, where is this about the lures?
I don't know about that, but play the clip.
ABC News has learned about a new report coming on James Comey, the blistering criticism in this new draft report, what he was warned not to do just 11 days before the election involving Hillary Clinton, and what he did anyway. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas tonight.
Hillary Clinton was on a flight to Iowa when it happened. FBI Director James Comey revealing he'd reopened the investigation into her emails. A stunning October surprise just 11 days before the election.
I learned about it on the campaign plane, and I was stunned, to be honest. I didn't know what to think about it because I knew there was nothing there. I was just dumbfounded. I thought, what is he doing?
Clinton huddled with aides for nearly an hour.
Secretary Clinton, any reaction to the FBI investigation?
One of Comey's biggest critics at the time heaped praise on the director.
And it took guts for Director Comey to make the move that he made.
The Justice Department Inspector General has been looking into Comey's decision. And now sources familiar with the draft of his report tell ABC News a senior Justice Department official had urged Comey not to reveal he was reopening the Clinton probe so close to the election, that doing so would violate long-standing department policy. But those sources also say the report concludes Comey defied authority more than once. One source telling ABC News the report describes Comey's behavior as insubordinate. Comey has defended his actions, saying they were to protect the integrity of the FBI.
Given what I knew at the time, these were the decisions that were best calculated to preserve the values of the institutions.
The draft report also criticizes former Attorney General Loretta Lynch for not clearly recusing herself after she met President Clinton on her plane during that campaign, David.
Yeah, that guy is so disappointing to me. I liked him. I really wanted to like him.
You wanted to like Comey?
Yeah. You see, we're talking a long time ago.
Yeah.
He seemed like a straight shooter, and he had me bamboozled.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. This is the whole thing. I don't know what the point of this is, but something's happening.
Well, Comey needs to get slapped. I think that's what's taking place. And honestly, he deserves it. He's one of those Democrats, Big D.
Dogs are people, too.
Yes, it's true. Dogs are people, too. As witnessed by this report, I wish I had a clip, but they just won't do this. No one's going to pick this up as a news story. Michigan State health physicist charged with bestiality.
Oh, God.
Yes. According to officials, 51-year-old Joseph Hattie of Holt, Michigan, has been charged with 2 counts of committing...
Oh, wait, you said health physicist.
Yes. Physicist, yes.
Physicist?
That's what it says.
Well, that's weird. What's a health physicist?
Consult the Book of Knowledge.
Well, I know what a physicist is, but they're talking about the atoms and, like I don't know what health has got to do with it.
Well,
that's not physician or something?
No, I'm looking at the news story and it says health physicist as the headline. Well, let me take a look. Let's see what health physicist is. Health physics. Health physicist, jobs, employment. Okay, here we go. Medical physicist. Health physicist. Okay. You can make about $6,000 a month. Works on the direction of radioactive materials inspection group. Oh, that's just Department of State Health Services. I don't know what you do.
Okay. Well, apparently you screw dogs.
Well, no. Hattie is accused of penetrating a dog with his penis and his hand. The Attorney General's office says the acts did not occur on campus or with an animal owned by MSU. Whew, well, that's good. Officials, this is a great report.
Wait a minute, is this Michigan State again?
Yes.
The same where they had that crazy doctor who was like
yes.
Something's wrong with that school. They're still trying to track down the old president, some woman who I guess wasn't minding the school. I don't know what was wrong.
Now,
it's terrible.
This is known as a crime against nature.
Yeah.
And it's a 15-year sentence. It's a felony. But now, of course, the question on everybody's mind is, what kind of dog was it? You want to take a guess?
It reminds me of a couple of jokes that
Just take
have
a
funny
guess.
punchlines. What kind of a dog was it? It was a Pekingese.
No.
Saint Bernard.
No.
German Shepherd.
No.
Husky.
No, he's not even close.
No, not even close. It's a poodle.
No. It's really bad when you hear it.
Oh, a beagle.
A basset hound.
Oh, the worst.
Poor basset hound. What's in the water there at MSU? Something is very, very wrong.
Up there.
Something's very wrong there. This is sad. I love dogs.
People, do not send your children to MSU.
And just we're on the topic.
Although we have a lot of Michiganians from MSU that are part of local number 1, so maybe I shouldn't say anything.
No,
although most of them are from Michigan University.
This was a report, actually not a report, an article that was going around. As scientists, let me just see where these scientists were from. The Icahn School of Medicine in New York. It sounds like a legit outfit. They sequenced the genomes of 16 influenza viruses obtained from pet dogs in southern China and found they contained segments similar to the H1N1 strain responsible for the 2009 swine flu outbreak. They believe that here it is, quote, "This is very reminiscent of what happened in swine 10 years before the H1N1 pandemic," said the principal investigator. In 2009, we were all looking for viruses in birds. There was no surveillance in pigs. Then the pandemic came from pigs. And they posit that the next pandemic could come.
You used the word posit?
I did, again. No, I used it.
Oh, you used it?
Yes.
Okay.
The next pandemic could come from dogs.
Well, that makes sense.
Dogs are people, too.
That's right. We're all going to die. Thanks, Fido.
So when I was going through my archives, I found one of those many of these. I download videos, and you can with a tool you can do it from anywhere.
Ah, you're so cyber.
And so I've got this. This is beginning. I was wondering whatever happened to Robert. I guess Robert Schaefer, Bob Schaefer.
Bob Schaefer.
There was this clip I got, and it's been put together with a bunch of other these pro-Trump clips about how screwed up everybody was with the predictions that Trump would never win. But Schaefer's, and so there's a music bed they put at the end of it, which really annoys me.
Yeah.
But this is still worth listening to. This is a 41-second clip. This clip, I think, is ruined. This will ruin your career when you're supposed to be. People out there have to realize that these TV guys, they lose touch with the reality after a while.
Well, explain what happened to Bob Schaefer.
I don't know. He's just not doing anything. I've never seen him. I haven't seen him.
Didn't he mess up somewhere? Did he just?
No, you're thinking of Ross.
Oh, wrong guy. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's just gone.
I think he just retired. He's getting old. But the thing that's annoying about some of these guys is that they can be so wrong when they're not supposed to be. They're out there, so they're the guys that are supposed to have the pulse and all the rest. But all they do, they live in New York. They hang around with each other. They go to Tavern on the Green. If you want to go to see a bunch of celebrity journalists,
Tavern on the Green.
Go to Tavern on the Green
in New York.
It's crawling with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I went there, it was like the whole staff of 60 Minutes was there. It was just everybody.
Yeah, we're going to Tavern on the Green for lunch.
Yeah, and there they go. There they are. They're all over there. And so this one was just an eye roller.
270 being the magic number. Old College, Bob, you've been on the phone dialing around. What have you heard?
Well, I can't find a single Republican. I talked to probably 12 Republican senators yesterday or their representatives. I couldn't find a single one who now thinks they're going to win. They were saying things like, look, we realized a couple of weeks ago that, that we were not going to win, but now we may lose by historic proportions. I mean, something that will, one person said to me yesterday, that could affect the Republican Party for generations to come. I'm not sure the Republican Party is going to survive.
Just before the election, he says, I'm not sure the Republican Party can survive.
Nailed it.
Unbelievable.
Hey, Melania showed up again in public.
Yep.
Let me just give you some of the theories that were out there. I love a good conspiracy.
Oh, the theories are the best.
My favorite was that Trump had beaten her, and she had to wait for the bruising to subside. I'm not kidding.
Like
that was a meme. That was a big one on the tweeters.
I like it.
There was that. There was that she was, hiding because she's a slave. Anyway, she reappeared at FEMA. Now, I will add to the conspiracies. If you see this video, and I'm going to play a bit between the gals on CNN. CNN grousing about it. Because, it was like 26 day, 27, 28 day, a million. We haven't seen Melania. What's wrong with her? Of course, if it were Michelle Obama, you and I would have said, she's having her sex change operation. I mean, we would have said something horrible like that. But for Melania, really didn't have anything other than what appeared at the FEMA headquarters, and that's the B-roll here. She looks like one of those sex robots. And she acts like it. She's like turning very slowly.
Yeah, she looks like she's a real doll. The new ones.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first
version 2.0.
First time we've seen the First Lady in 26 days. Here she is sitting next to her husband, the president. And Dana, if I can just ask you about, she obviously underwent surgery. She was out of the public eye for a little bit of time. I was reading Margaret Sullivan's piece in the Washington Post this morning where she made this point where, the First Lady, her staff, it costs taxpayers a lot of money. I think that her communications person referred to the media as rabid at one point in time, but it's a news story to know where she's been. Yeah, look, this is a tough one. It really is.
Oh, John, it's a really tough one. You think we can get through this story? It's a really tough one.
No, I'm going to have
so
trouble
tough. It's tough.
Because she does, by definition, she's somebody who has a formal role. An informal public role, but that means that she does spend taxpayer money. But she wasn't elected. She doesn't have an official elected title. So she is not bound by the expectations and the needs, rightly so, of people who elect officials and want to know where they are and how their health is because they were put there by the people. She wasn't.
What they're trying to do is explain away their nuttiness.
Having said that, she's all, and so there's that part of it, and the fact that she is
who she is. She is somebody who is fascinating to people in this country and around the world. People want to know.
Where is Melania?
People want to know everything that they can about her. She understands that. She plays with that, with her clothes, sending signals, with things that she says, with things that she wears. So in some ways, she understands it. In this particular case, because it's medical, it's a tough one.
Oh no, she's wearing the blue dress with the 7-inch heels.
She's signaling, help, get me out of here, help.
I'll tell you though, if I were her, I would seriously consider. Look, if that's not synthetic, they should make one, so she doesn't have to go everywhere. It's really she does. You've seen it, doesn't she look synthetic?
Yeah, a little bit. Got too much foundation.
And I figured it out because I look at behaviors, and she always looks like she's scowling, and I know why. Because when you see her really smile, really a big smile, she looks old and wrinkled. And I know she hates it about herself. That's why she's pursing her lips the whole time. And
she doesn't smile.
She cannot be herself.
She got a pretty smile, but maybe it might exaggerate wrinkles. And a lot of these women of that type, people kind of know a few of them. They take a lot of they shoot Botox into their face, so this doesn't happen. What you're describing, I mean, Nancy Pelosi's all Botoxed up.
And
she's got like a very strange looking face because of it. And I don't know if Melania uses Botox or not.
Are you kidding me?
You think she does for sure?
Forehead for sure. Yeah, but not in her cheeks or anything. But oh please, it's an immovable object. No,
yeah, you might.
No. Of course she does. Before we get to your clip blitz, this was a cool little ditty sent in by one of our dudes named Ben, who works for our armed services. This is the Air Force, and they have a helpline. I guess if you need to call in and get some kind of info about something going on with the tubes there in the interwebs in the DOD. And this is relatable to my use of the MIL term AFG for Afghanistan. Because if I converse with a lot of military personnel and spies and handlers, and they're always, it's like DJT, POTUS, or POTUS, but usually DJT, AFG, IRQ for Iraq. It's all these abbreviations. And I think it was his dad who said, you should send that to Adam and John. He called into the helpline and got the menu. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. Listen to what these guys do.
Service. This is a non-secure line. For field assistance service, teams 1 through 6, press 1. For help with ACES, IWIMS, TMIP, and Next Gen CE, press 1. For help with Air Force EONet, press 2. For ARMS, BAS&E, CMOS, LogMod, OLBIMS, and SMAS, press 3. For ESS, GAFs, IAPS, IMDS, CDB, PRPS, MARCS, ILSS, TBA, and Unisys systems, press 4. For AFWay, ETIMS, MPS, MSELA, SDC, SIFMAS, and other PC-based systems, press 5. For MPS, MSELA, and SDC, press 3. For ETIMS and SIFMAS, press 4.
Holy... I want to know what SNAS is. What is SNAS?
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, they really go with the abbreviations in the military.
Yeah, like I just need some info in the advanced network analysis language, please. That's all I need. It's time for the Clip Blitz.
Let's go. Women and student debt.
Women are carrying the biggest share of the country's outstanding student loan debt. According to an education advocacy group, women own nearly $900 billion in student loans. That's nearly 2/3 of the total. Economists say it will take longer for women than men to repay their loans, potentially racking up more interest and falling deeper into debt. Women make up 56% of today's college students.
Red 33!
Miss America changes.
Oh, yes, a fan favorite.
The Miss America organization is dropping the swimsuit competition, saying it will no longer judge contestants based on their appearance. The competition began nearly 100 years ago in Atlantic City, New Jersey, as a bathing beauty contest, but times have changed. The top 3 leadership roles at the Miss America organization are now held by women, and they say viewers are most interested in the talent competition. The changes will begin with this year's broadcast on September 9th.
I thought your tweet about that was spot on. I think it was. I'm paraphrasing. It's official. Here is the proof. The terrorists have won. Spot on.
It's another No Agenda.
This is an untold story. Google in San Jose.
Activists are gathering at Google's annual shareholders meeting to protest plans to build a new campus in San Jose. The group is called Silicon Valley Rising, and they say they plan to protest Google's building of a mega campus that, in their estimation, will worsen the homelessness problem and the eviction crisis. They're asking Google to commit to a deal that will protect residents from the impacts of tech gentrification should the tech giant come to San Jose.
Data center in the ocean.
Amounts of our information is held in vast data centers which consume large amounts of electricity. Well, now Microsoft has begun an energy-efficient experiment by sinking a small data center in the sea off the coast of Scotland. Rory Catlin-Jones reports.
Ever uploaded a photo, updated your Facebook status, or maybe streamed some music? If so, you've probably used a data center where vast amounts of our personal information are now stored. But what if you could put all of that underwater? Up in Orkney, the tech giant Microsoft is trying to do just that. This white cylinder is packed with computers. It was assembled in France and then brought here to be sunk. We're on our way across Scarpa Flow to the deployment site, but I've one nagging question. Why sink a data center?
It's easier to cool data centers in water than on land, and that means we use a lot less power to cool the data center than we otherwise would. It is kind of a crazy experiment, but that's why we do research, is to try these things and sort of push us to new places, and if this is successful...
Military running for Congress.
Is by making peace.
Somebody was asking me, Mikey, can you still fly a helicopter? I said,
Mikey Sherrill is another rookie candidate who doesn't seem to show it. The retired Navy helicopter pilot and prosecutor is part of an influx of Democratic veterans running. Democrats estimate nearly 1/3 of their top-tier congressional candidates have served in the military.
I went to the Naval Academy.
Why the sudden surge in veteran candidates? Well, consider the current trust gap. In a recent PBS NewsHour NPR Marist poll, just 25% of adults had any confidence in Congress, 43% in the presidency. But the military, twice that, holding the confidence of a sweeping 88% of American adults.
Wow. Hi, guys.
At a local street fair.
It's another No Agenda.
And we'll close with that one. Now, the thing about that, which has always baffled me, besides the fact that they can't be audited and probably stealing money, and they have this huge budget, which is the combined budget of every military in all the countries in the entire world, but they're the ones the most respected. So if that's the case, how does that, for one thing, I don't know how that works. And the other thing is, if they're that good and it's a government operation, why is everybody, especially the Republicans, so dead set against a single payer socialized medicine, which would be the same kind of an operation?
Why?
I don't know. It's a baffling phenomenon.
I'll do a clip story rundown for you. Bilderberg meeting this week, meeting in Italy. On the agenda, they are very worried.
Invited?
I haven't been to the mailbox. They're very concerned about the populist uprising in Europe, and that's why they're having it in Italy, probably. And we're going to have to retire a fan favorite jingle here on the best podcast in the universe. Very, very sad. Oh. Yes, sad. Monsanto. Looks like the Bayer acquisition of Monsanto will go through, although they do have to spin off the glyphosate division, but the name will go away. Monsanto.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. So let's play it one more time. Just so
Monsanto. And that's also disappointing because of the old Monsanto House of the Future, which used to be at Disneyland in Los Angeles.
The Monsanto House of the Future. That's such a scam. House of the Future, they have one in every country. And the Netherlands, they would always, we've opened, Adam, would you like you to come down, press event, come down and look at the House of the Future, which is always, built by Philips. Well, believe me, you don't want a house built by Philips. It's not much you want from Philips except, light bulbs, maybe a TV. Some of their TVs are okay. And, surprise, it's a shocker. Elon Musk says, we're going to have to delay the plans for the first space tourist to circle the moon.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, they haven't quite worked it out. How we're going to get through the Van Allen belts, that's what he hasn't quite worked out. I know what's going on, Elon Musk. So now he says end of 2019.
Yeah, sure. So he's got this other thing going too, which is apparently the Model 3, which they can't seem to mass produce at all. They're going to have the more expensive version. They'll make a few of those at $75,000 a pop, and they're going to kind of push back the rollout of the $33,000 ones, which are the ones that's what it's all about. Why would you buy one for $75 when you buy an S?
I really don't care.
I do.
Yeah. Stupid.
The area's crawling with them. You must have tons of them down there.
You know I do. And I'm laughing. And I get all those damn bird bikes everywhere. The scooters everywhere. What a plague. Incredible plague.
These tech guys are
There's nothing like seeing a millennial on a bird bike scooter with their iPhone trying to, look at their iPhone while they're driving the electric scooter. It's a thumbs down moment in traffic, I'll tell you. Oh, by the way, a lot of people have been trying the thumbs down trick instead of flipping people off, and they're liking it. Yes, early reports are good. Yes, it's very confusing to the recipient of the thumbs down.
I was thinking of doing that the other day.
It's like, what? And then my final clip, there is a war. You've probably noticed this. A war on straws.
Today, Bon Appetit, a large food service company, announced it is banning plastic straws in all 1,000 of its cafes across the U.S. That would include locations like AT&T Park, home of the San Francisco Giants. This is the latest salvo in a growing war against plastic straws. And here to tell us more about that is NPR food editor Maria Godoy. Hey, Maria.
Hey, Mary Louise.
So why this ban? Why straws?
So there's something like 270,000 metric tons of plastic in our oceans. And straws are actually a pretty big chunk of that. So they're kind of an obvious choice. Most of us don't really need straws. We kind of tend to use them because they're there.
Although I'm thinking I just ate my salad for lunch today with a plastic fork, which probably isn't very good for the environment either. Why are straws being singled out for this ban?
Well, environmentalists have actually been telling us that plastic straws are taking a big toll for years. But there was this video that went viral in 2015, and it's pretty hard to watch. It shows a sea turtle with a straw stuck up its nose and researchers trying to remove it. It's pretty heartbreaking. And, one of the reasons it's lodged up there is because of the shape of the straw. It let it go all the way back in its nostril. This was just like a really, really graphic way of bringing home the fact that plastics and plastic straws are taking a huge toll on sea life and really on the planet.
So we got a turtle with a straw up his nose. Who knows what the turtle was doing? Yeah, but no, it's taking a toll on the planet, the plastic straws. I don't know how I feel about this. I like straws.
Well, but the old paper straws were fine.
Thank you. Couldn't we just get the paper? I mean, that wouldn't change if it was a paper straw. It would still go in the turtle's nose.
Maybe the people behind this whole thing are the paper straw makers because they were put out of business.
Damn paper straw makers again.
Yeah, they came in with this idea. Can you imagine? It'd be a marketing meeting. What are we going to do? Our market share is dropping to these plastic straws.
I know. Where's that turtle? Yeah.
Yeah, shove a straw up his nose and then do a phony video and say, this is terrible. We got to get rid of these and go back to paper straws. I don't mind paper straws.
They may not. Well, I don't know if they do well in the water, or do they just wilt away? I guess
they just become like paper. The water just fall apart.
All right, No Agenda Paper Straws, a new business opportunity. We'll work on it right after we choose the artwork for the show. Which is
smart money for anyone who bought into a paper straw company just before this happened.
Oh, maybe we can still do it. It may not be too late. I'll have a look. We'll report on Sunday. That and more life-saving tips and media deconstruction to your heart's content on the best podcast in the universe, the No Agenda Show. And I'm coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region 6, on the maps in the 5x9 Cludio in our common law condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's nice out, but it's not windy. I'd say the weather is good, better than your weather. I'm John C. Dvorak.
A Secret Agent Paul compilage as our end of show mix. Enjoy that, and we'll be back on Sunday. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos. I need a cab.
Here's the story of a bunch of snowflakes who were trampling on some other people's rights. All of them lived at home with their mother. They wanted to start fights. Here's the story of a bunch of addicts whose addiction was to outrage all the time. They got so whipped up into a frenzy, thought they commit some crimes. Then the one day they went to attend a rally, and everyone who disagreed was punched. And this group thankfully got arrested. Now we get to laugh at them, the Snowflake Bunch, the Snowflake Bunch, the Snowflake Bunch. Now we get to laugh at them, the Snowflake Bunch. Al-Shabaab, yada-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, Al-Shabaab, yada-da-da-da-da-da. If you're white, you're a racist. If you're male, you're a pig. If you're cis, you are privileged. Skinny shaming if you're big. And if you're straight, you're homophobic. Heaven help if you're wrong. So don't have an opinion and just do what you're told.
But at the end of the day, they're backing him. They're backing. Come on.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, John, if someone wants to get anyone, they can get him.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, it's more important that we have entertainment.
At the end of the day.
So, at the end of the day, who's going to pay for the real loan? It's going to be taxpayer money.
At the end of the day.
Because at the end of the day, that's going to be up to Valerie Jarrett.
At the end of the day.
I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that it?
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, all this money is owed to bankers.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, I think it's good.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, as Americans, what we always do is we always say,
at the end of the day.
So at the end of the day, it's not actually the health care, it's the...
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, you can't deny I had to put less gas in.
At the end of the day.
So at the end of the day, we're all anti-Semites.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, you get, I think it's 4%.
At the end of the day.
Starts to run together at the end of the day, and you kind of forget, right? And then...
At the end of the day.
John, you and I are both in the audience business at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
So at the end of the day, she can say, hey, I told you so.
At the end of the day. But I don't say at the end of the day. I said it once, I think, ever.
It's a war on man. Hallelujah. War on man. Amen. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna jump for joy. I don't need no toxic man on you, soy boy. It's the war on man. The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Oreos are just as addictive as cocaine.